It's video game time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Check your, do one of these and then
like I write something on the ground.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
Yep.
Yes. This is the Giant Bombcast for April 5th, 2022.
Fuck. Messed up.
Taxes are due in 10 days.
How did we get to April 5th already?
I don't know how time works. All I know is that now we are in the quarter in which I am said to be getting my Steam Deck opportunity.
Oh.
I got pushed to Q3 and I'm so upset.
When did that happen?
Up.
Why would you get pushed back? What do you mean?
I don't know. I see people getting their Q2 emails. It's a news story, not to spoil it. And then I check Steam and it says like, hey, sorry, bud, Q3. Is it because I've touched it so many times already?
Yeah, they know you've already logged in on a Steam Deck and they're like, look,
yeah.
Nah.
Yeah, that tracks. I mean, they're collecting a lot of data.
Yeah.
You know,
over there at Steam. They got a whole database.
They know what you're playing. They know what you're doing. So
they know what you're typing to your friends.
That's it.
Damn.
They know what you're posting on your other friends' profiles.
Even if I'm
The
off
algorithm gotcha.
Yeah.
They've already genetically, figured out that you have held this thing based on the sweat that has come off of your hands onto the Steam Deck.
Mm-hmm.
They analyze it right there in the Steam
fans
Deck.
are so loud.
to distract you. I get it.
Mm-hmm.
I get it.
They've sequenced you. They know you've touched it already. They said, nah, push him back.
So it doesn't seem like you used it a lot, so maybe you don't need one.
You only checked out Super Auto Pets. You can do that
11 hours.
That's
this
on
is
phone.
wasted on Jan.
Just get a phone. Just get a phone. You don't need one. Yeah, I don't know. We'll talk about the Steam Deck stuff in a little bit here. Hi. It's yeah, I don't know. It was a crazy weekend of professional wrestling. And now we're here on the other side of that. I feel like we would be remiss if we did not at least check in about these topics. Jan, did you watch? What did you see?
So I wanted to watch the Ring of Honor Supercard because that was going on Friday, and I've heard it was really, really good. Apparently, one of the best tag team matches ever took place.
Best wrestling match of the week, or whatever you know of that. All the Dallas shows.
Yes,
that was probably the best wrestling match I saw.
And then, oh gosh, out of like WrestleMania nights 1 and 2, you and I were talking about this prior to going live, but I think the Johnny Knoxville Sami Zayn match was maybe the best.
Yep, I agree. The most entertaining match on that show. Like close second was actually, weirdly enough, the Kevin Owens Steve Austin thing. I think actually, you know what? Also, that Pat McAfee thing was really good, and I thought that was very entertaining as well. And
did you ever catch any of Pat McAfee's matches in NXT?
I did not, but I heard that he was pretty decent.
He was surprisingly good.
So not a huge surprise. Jeff Baclar, did you catch any of this? I mean, it's so easy now. It's not like it's like you got to lay out $80 or go to someone's house and show up with pizza. Like in this modern era, it feels like this stuff is just everywhere.
Yeah, I mean, I knew it was going on. I didn't watch it. But our buddy Justin Vachon sent me a video. Our art connoisseur sent me a video of Stone Cold stunning Vince McMahon, and fucking Steve Austin is laughing so goddamn hard because Vince is such a schmuck, like, and couldn't take it. Like, he's like, I've been stunning this guy for 30 years and not once did he ever get it right.
Yeah, they've always been shitty, and this one was maybe the shittiest. And that
where Vince just turns to like a bag of mush and like a puddle.
Fucking terrible. Just that was the best.
And just to see Steve Austin break character and like just having to like stop and laugh it out a little bit was so awesome. I'm so glad he sent me that clip. That's all I saw of it.
And I think you're good. I mean, there was some decent fun stuff across that show, across those, was it 10 hours or something by the time they're done?
Oh God. Yeah. I didn't realize how much time it was all in all.
Yeah. It's like 4 hours a night for 2 nights. I mean, maybe it was more like 8 or something, but
Can y'all believe this? In like that long of shows for 2 nights, night 1, they managed to cut a match because there was no time.
Right. Yeah, a match that was like, I think even prior to the show starting, word going around was like, this one's going to be a quick one, and they still cut it and moved it back to night 2.
And then they wind up and like the New Day wore gear to pay tribute to Big E because Big E's out with a broken neck. And then what does the big WWE do? Make him lose.
Right. That's right.
Oh, cool. You're paying homage to your friend? Fuck him.
Yeah. Well, check out Butch.
Oh my God.
Yeah. I don't know.
I will say that in the WWE specifically, people always talk about just let it play out. Just let it happen. And the only time it has ever paid off in recent memory is probably the Becky Lynch Bianca Belair match, where Bianca finally got her comeuppance, and then the big thing that happened too. He's here, he's back. Cody Rhodes. It's not just smoke and mirrors. I like that he is exactly the same.
Yeah, that's it's the sort of thing that makes you realize that he was always a WWE guy, even when he was in AEW. Like I mean, I think that I found it very hard to take like his talking last night at face value. His big long thing about his quest to win the belt and all this other stuff is just like, yeah, no, I got it. Like, yeah, but it's just I don't know, the teary-eyed like Cody Rhodes promo. I'm kind of, like almost every single thing he did in AEW was bad on camera. Like behind the scenes, people say like, oh, he did a bunch of amazing stuff and he was very helpful and all that stuff. I don't mean to take away from that and launching a company and whatever his part was and all that stuff. But I mean, the storylines he found himself into, wrote himself into, and I'm sure some of those cases were fucking terrible.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. He had some good matches. Definitely.
Yes, absolutely. I think that it's the thing that is like these days, like the quality of wrestling, I think, is higher than it's been in a long time across the board. It's the thing that, like even you have all these people that talk shit about WWE, and I think my big problem with that is like, hey, the story aspect of this, the entertainment part of the sports entertainment, the part they claim to be focusing on is the part they fuck up the most. Like all those people can wrestle. They can wrestle their fucking asses off. They can do so well, and the story aspect of it usually doesn't hold up its end of the bargain. I think that's been my big problem with all that sort of stuff. Anyway.
Last thing I'll say about the wrestling, I was kind of hoping that after the unification match for the Universal title or whatever the heck we're calling it, I was hoping Cody would just come out with the big gold.
Right.
Just be like, hey, I'm just crowning myself the champion. Here's everyone's favorite belt anyway.
Right. Yeah. Something like that. I would love to see them knock it down to one belt and actually dedicate themselves to only having one. Because I think that would mean more, but they never do that.
They didn't even put their mid-card champions on the WrestleMania card, so.
Nope.
Yeah.
They didn't.
Nope.
Yeah. But yeah, the Johnny Knoxville with Wee Man and all the Jackass crew and all that stuff was so much fun. And like,
that was good. That was good.
It was really fun. It was really, really cool. It was just very entertaining. There's like, they're goofing around, with tasers and a big boot on a stick that you could make a boot kind of kick out. And then they kicked Sami Zayn in the junk with it. And just real dumb, like roll a bowling ball into the corner of the ring and hit him in the junk with that. Just silly ass stuff that was just like a good time. It was like a real feel good kind of thing. out of that stuff that made me finally. I think I am going to finally watch that Jackass movie.
Be forewarned, there
Wow,
are a
the
lot,
marketing worked.
a lot of penises from the tippy top of that movie.
Wait, I'm sorry. What about penises?
There's a lot of them. A lot.
Oh,
They
in the
hang a lot of
movie.
dong in that movie.
Just
Yeah, why
straight
would-
dong.
Sure.
Right on.
Sure.
But then, like, it's kind of just, well, you know, it's
Dong's back. Like, I just want you guys to know. Like
Not
full
just for
front.
Boogie Nights anymore.
Yeah, it's not just for like the show my wife is working on has a fair amount of dong. But you know what I'm hearing? Okay.
What's that?
What
What's
I'm
that?
hearing
we hanging
is
dong.
there is a lot of, and I don't want to say it too loud because she's in the room next to me, but they're like most male actors use fake dongery. They use like a prosthetic dong.
So how does that work? Do they slide it over their existing member and then it just looks like a different thing, or are they
stunt
tucking? Is it a
dong.
tuck and strap? Is it like a
No, I don't know. I
Do they
don't.
have a
Maybe
stand-in?
like. Well, so here's what I don't
Stunt
get.
cock?
I don't understand. I like some people use their real dicks, right?
Yeah.
Some people.
Some people look. Some people use
Some
their real.
people.
Some
Yeah.
people use their real dicks. Some people don't. And
I'm
you
back
could-
in the conversation, by the way.
Yeah, no, I get it. I wanted to reel you back in.
Now this I can relate to.
Right. So here at the Dong Corner, no. So like I don't know how they do it. It's all I don't like. Most famously, the one that comes to mind right away is Steve Zahn in White Lotus.
Mm-hmm.
It's like
Okay.
the first or second episode where he's like paranoid about his nutties,
Yes.
and it's clearly a fake dong or a fake sack or whatever the situation is. Like I don't know why that is. I don't know. I don't know. I don't know the psychology behind it. I mean, like.
Fragile masculinity.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like who you know, but it is a common thing in
I bet
production.
Well, it's
men are
because, like,
cowards, and I
People
feel
wanna
like
show off their private parts. That's up to them. You know,
100%. I'm not saying like they're cowards. I'm just saying
you're an actor.
I'm
Come on,
saying they're
get
cowards.
method here.
yeah.
So
Jan would like to take a stand and say they are cowards.
yes, this person, my partner and I, we went to like this craft fair over the weekend, parked in front of a tree, and then this gentleman,
Dongs at the craft fair.
yes, this
Crafted
gentleman
dongs.
who is in a camper van decides to pee at this tree, even though there is a bathroom 10 feet behind my car. And then he pees at the tree,
Yay!
only to realize
American heroes.
that my partner and I are just he's peeing in front of us and almost getting some splashback on my car. And
Jeez,
then
he's
like
close.
he realizes that he's peeing in front of people, and then he starts laughing, and then he violently shakes himself dry. Not just like his member, but his whole body. And I'm like, dog,
Whoa,
please.
wait,
Like, no.
there's people out there
Maybe he
shaking
got
their
the shivers. Maybe he got the
Like-
pee
Like a-
shivers.
Like a dog that's just come out of the ocean.
Who's shaking their whole body? Are there people who shake their entire body and not just like their nether regions?
I don't know. It was a windy
Is
day.
that a thing?
It was a windy day.
It's a windy day.
That's dangerous. Like that
Yeah.
could blow back on you.
Like, imagine you're at a public bathroom and the person next to you, instead of just doing like the lower shake, convulses their entire body. Like, that seems like a scene.
Yeah.
They do the Harlem Shake and then shit all over
Mhm.
their friend nearby.
Yeah, exactly.
It's
Like-
not Blippy. Relax.
Mhm.
Yeah, that's I feel like that's a crime.
Yeah.
In fact, I know that's a crime.
Yeah, it's a crime.
That's
But-
illegal in 20 states for sure.
Yeah. But not I don't know.
I think it was the polite, ha ha, ooh, you caught me
Ooh,
type
yes.
of thing. That was like, there's
Yeah,
there's
like
a
how does
giant
that
sign that says restroom on top of the
Oh,
public
this
restroom.
Stapled to the tree at
if you
like,
gotta go
eye level with
yeah.
the guy.
Right. If he was peeing on the restroom sign, then you'd be like, right on, man. Yeah, stick it to him. But I don't know. Like how does that happen? Did you think maybe this guy is like fucking wasted and he's just
No.
like this was just a drunk decision he made, and then it got in the middle of it and was like, oh, I have clearly.
Oh no. This
Okay.
was a gentleman that is like that, not to generalize people that have camping vans,
But
but he was the type that's like, oh, I purposely chose to live in a camping van because I have money to afford myself this lifestyle.
Sure. Okay. Yeah.
Yep. I hope he peed on
Yep.
the sandals.
Whatever, right? I mean,
Yeah.
that's the least important note of this story.
You know his Birkenstocks reek of piss anyway. So
You got those
For
piss
multiple
Birkenstocks.
reasons.
yeah, you got those piss Birkenstocks. Those are limited edition. You got to get those StockX. You got StockX those now.
I can't use that as an
Hey,
episode
I
title.
was
Yeah.
I was at a hockey. I went to see the Devils play over the weekend, and
Who are they playing?
they're playing the Panthers. And I saw a dude wearing a StockX. Like he kept the green thing on the StockX sneaker,
Oh.
and I'm just like, oh, people are doing that.
That's terrible. Like
What
is
this?
Okay, so StockX is like a marketplace for expensive sneakers. It's like a third party gray
Oh.
marketplace for sneakers where people resell rare and highly sought after sneakers, among other things.
Yeah.
And what they do is you send them the shoes, they verify them, and then add on this like silly dumbass little badge. It's like a green little badge that proves that they're
Oh.
authentic. And then you get that, and then whoever buys it sees the badge and is like, "Oh, these are real." They pass the authenticity sniff test.
Okay.
This
It's like
guy-
keeping the
guy's
sticker
like-
on the rim of
He's like,
your
"I got
hat.
ripped off. Everyone, look!"
Yeah. I feel like that's hey, I didn't get these for retail price. Like that's not a thing to brag about.
I don't know, dude. It's a
That's
new
a-
level of fucking bullshit.
Yeah.
What that
That's real
Sucks
fucking
so bad.
insane.
Sucked real bad.
I don't know. I had a StockX account. And I did buy one pair of shoes off of there, and then somehow got locked out of that account and can't get back in. It's probably for the best.
I've
My
had nothing
shoes.
but bad experiences with that company. Like, look, shoes that I'll pay $30-$40 above market if I just can't find them, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
I've done it a couple times on that site. Not great experiences both times. Let's just say that.
I've had
I have a
similar
pair of
experiences
the-
at Goat.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, I like Goat.
I have a pair of the E3 PlayStation Nikes.
Oh, right.
That's
Right.
gonna go for a premium now.
Right.
that I meant to just like sell because they were not my size. Like they ran out of 13s because you had to stand in a certain spot out in front of the convention center
Yes.
with the app open to buy them, and it was like me and Drake and a few other people were out there doing it. And by the time I got through their fucked up system, they were out of 13s. So I was like, well, I guess I'll just get 14s because I might as well get a pair while I'm here. And so I ended up with a pair a size too big, and that's not useful to me. But in the heat of the moment, I was like, well, I should fucking get something. And so now I have these things that I should just fucking flip because they're pointless. I can't wear them. Whatever.
Do it.
I haven't bought a pair of shoes since the pandemic started, and I am barefoot almost every single day.
Mm.
Sick.
Shoes
I
are
mean-
pointless.
I get it. Here's the thing that I've been, I'm in the same spot where I don't need to buy sneakers pretty much ever again, as far as the way. But like one day you'll be back out, presumably in a way that you
When
are
I-
more than now.
Totally. When I moved, I had one pair of shoes, and the rest were all packed away.
Mm.
They are still packed away. I have a pair of shoes. They're fine. I have like one pair of Adidas that I like, and they're comfortable, and they're totally okay. And I just haven't felt the need to unpack all these other I don't know.
I
There's
get
a
it.
bunch of fucking Jordans in a box somewhere around here, but like I don't fucking
The
fuck 'em.
worry is that you'll be ready to head back out into the world, and all your sneakers will be out of style because
Oh, it goes back around, baby. If
Yeah,
Air
I mean,
Forces are back,
I bought Jordan
Rest assured.
4s, like retro 4s and stuff. Like they were old when I got them, and back around again, and all that other shit. So I feel like 4s never go out of style because they're the best.
I
Jordans.
wore a for my party 2 weekends ago was I had worn shoes for the first time that were
sucked,
sitting
right. You're like, man, I wish I was not doing this.
Yeah, I mean,
My feet aren't used to shoes anymore.
No, like they
No,
were
they're not.
comfortable. It worked out.
They're uncomfortable now.
I wasn't exactly running a marathon, but it was weird. It was weird.
I feel like a psycho because I will sometimes wear my boots inside.
That's fucked up, Jen.
That's
You should
fucked
really
up.
talk to somebody about that.
Yeah,
That's
it's
fucked
Can't
up.
do
boots
that.
and Crocs. I swear to God, these Crocs are the best thing I've ever bought.
Okay, don't say
I
that out
keep
loud.
them in defense mode though. You know, because I'm just chilling at home now.
Right.
Boots are so heavy. How do you like wear boots around the house?
Because I just like that feeling of security. Like
Security? You're on a work site.
My delicate ankles, Bacalar. My delicate ankles. I'm just
Ankles?
terrified. Yes.
You know, I'll say for these last fucking couple years, this barefoot lifestyle, I've been stubbing toes and smashing up my feet non-fucking stop. If I was wearing boots, this would not be a problem.
Yeah. This makes it so hard to find running shoes because I don't like my ankles being exposed.
Oh my god! Like high top running shoes? Do they do that?
No one does
No.
this. I have to
They're
wear
gonna
thick
get
socks.
blisters.
Yeah. What's wrong with you? No.
I wore boots
Your ankles
in
are
high
fine.
school, and then I was like, I'm never going back.
Do boots really protect your ankles as much as they
in my
protect?
head, they do.
Yeah.
If I could
Yeah,
buy
protect-
high top Crocs, I would.
Oh
High
god.
top Crocs.
Why did you put that out there, dude?
High top
Why can
Crocs.
they- I mean,
Wow.
They must
Imagine it.
There must be some limited run of those. I'm trying to think how that would even fucking work.
I think I've seen like high heel style Crocs
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
Yeah.
as a gag.
No, as a lifestyle.
Oh god. What have we done?
I don't know. All
The
right.
shoes are a bit.
Yeah, all shoes are a bit now. Especially when you pay over retail for them and all. Like that whole, oh god.
And
whole
let
thing.
everyone know about it. Oh, that pissed
Yeah.
me. I was just like, you suck.
Yeah, you should have just gone over and spilled something on them. Just whoops.
Just
and then-
ketchup all over 'em.
Yeah, just like you should have okay, here's what you should have done. You should have taken up chewing tobacco right then and there, found about 3 cans of it, stuffed it in there, spit into a cup until it's fucking full, and then be like, oh, I gotta go, oh, fuck, sorry, dude. And then dumped the whole fucking can of chew spit onto his shoes. And
At that point, I would have.
poof, and then disappeared.
Yeah, I would have vomited before I spit out whatever's in my
Vomit on the
mouth.
shoes, that's fine too.
Yeah. And they
Also
weren't even
acceptable.
cool. They weren't even nice. I don't even
Yeah.
know what they were, but they were stupid.
I don't know. People are into some fucking whack shit out there. Like professional wrestling. Let's get us some video games.
I'd love to.
All right, great. Jan,
Yes.
I want to know about Norco. People are talking. There's smoke on the street about Norco, point and click adventure game. But that the writing is fucking mind blowing. What do you think about it?
Yeah.
What is it and what do you think about it? I guess is actually probably the
I think you said it
order of
best.
operations.
It's on its face, it is a point and click adventure game set in Norco, Louisiana, I want to say. The developers are branding it as a Southern Gothic story. So I'm not quite sure what that means, but I do like the setting. It's you live in an industrious, or at least the game takes place in an industrious town. It's kind of been like run to shit because the refinery or the factory that is big in the town has kind of done what has happened across the U.S., you know, where it's really sapped the resources from a town and really left the citizens high and dry. You come back to the town because your mother passes away and your brother says he needs you. And you quickly learn that your mom was up to some, I don't want to say shady stuff, but perhaps some tech espionage type of deal. She was wheeling and dealing with some stuff that her company may not have liked. And it's interesting because this isn't normally my type of game. I'm not really big into point and click adventures. But the story, as the internet has blown up about, it is really good. And also I think it's a really pretty game, even though it's a point and click adventure. All the art is done in like kind of like a pixel style mosaic-ish, and then each tableau you have between the screens looks really nice. Even like the portraits of the characters. And there's, you know, they're building a lot of intrigue because I thought this was the game starts super heavy because it talks about, you know, your own struggles with mental health, wanting to leave your town, feeling guilty about leaving town, your familial struggles and all that jazz. And then you go back to your home and it turns out there's robots everywhere. So it's not quite like a dilapidated like present. It's set in the future where there's like a robot chilling in your backyard.
I was gonna say, is that surprising to you when you get back? You're like, I left town and then came back and there were robots there. Or like, but no, it's just where everything's like taking place. And then like
on top of like the robots, there's all this stuff hidden throughout, your house and all these other places you're going, where it does look like a rundown town where like the locals are like barely scraping by, but also there's all this kind of like tech robot gentrification that's happened, where you roll up to the liquor store and it's no longer a dude running it, it's just like a screen where you have to scan everything yourself, and it's not someone you're actually talking to. In fact, before that, you have an encounter with someone where like they're the town local that's complaining like, I've been replaced by robots, damn it. But the robot he's talking about being replaced by was an ATM. So
All right.
he'd probably been replaced a long time ago. But they break up the what could be monotonous pace of just pointing and clicking and reading with some mini games. Like there's I don't think it's spoilers because it's in like the first 20 minutes, but there is a childhood toy that you come across in your room, and then you have to play a staring contest with it, but it's with little QuickTime events, and then that winds up happening throughout the course of the game with other random bits and bobs. They really capture, I don't know if y'all have experienced this, but like, when you're out on like early on the weekend in kind of like a dustier part of town where it's just eerily quiet, but it's kind of soothing.
Yeah.
But at the same time, it's just like kind of feel on edge. They capture that really, really well. I'm maybe about like 2 hours into it, and the narrative is kind of shifting all over the place. You have some flashbacks. You kind of like go super into specific, not totems, but you see a picture and then you kind of like relive a memory and stuff. There's a very complicated mind map that is kind of logging your relationship and everyone else's relationship with each other. And it gets exponentially complicated and convoluted because turns out the person that was your friend from middle school might have been up to some stuff with like the town drunk, but also the town drunk might have been linked up with your biological father, but you don't know your father. So it turns out maybe your mom is up to some wild stuff.
Okay.
It's really
family
cool.
Story.
It's like it makes me curious if I would actually curious and disappointed that I feel like I should have checked out something like Disco Elysium, but in Disco Elysium, I'm under the assumption you have so many more choices, and I already have choice paralysis with like the small dialogue trees and the order of operations in Norco. And the whole time I'm thinking it's Narcan.
Yep. Every time someone talks about Norco, I assume it is some kind of drug game, and it's very hard for me to separate that.
Yeah.
Like, and then you eventually find the Norco lab. It just sounds like a future drug, one way or the other.
It's out on Steam now. I think it's the developer's first game as well, I want to say, or at least as a studio. It's really cool.
I want to say it's on GamePass as well. I'm not positive, but let's look real quick here. Yes, it is on Game Pass.
Nice.
Neat. Yeah, it's one of those things where I feel like I guess I could play it through my phone doing like Steam Link or whatever, just because it is just mostly a lot of reading. There is just the QuickTime events that might make that difficult, but it's neat. It's really good. Music is also fantastic when it decides to kick in.
Yeah. If you ever get over that choice paralysis game, Disco Elysium is really cool and kind of plays into that a little bit. Like if you're,
I still haven't finished it because I got so choice paralyzed by it all, and also because I accidentally turned out to be a fascist because I was trying to like weasel my way out of something by lying, and then everyone in town was like, "Oh, you're that fascist guy." I was like, "Fuck."
Yeah,
it'll happen.
In Norco,
it takes you down some interesting roads depending on if you try to like game the game. I feel like they wrote the fucking fucked up stuff for you.
I was trying to play it like a video game. It's like, oh, I'll just lie to this Nazi and say like, oh no, yeah, dude, yeah, white power, I guess. And like word got around like, oh, it's the white power cop guy. And I was like, shit. I was just lying to gain his trust. I don't really. God damn it.
We just call them cops now.
Yeah.
I don't think you can accidentally become a fascist, but you can totally become a bad older sister.
All right. Nice. Let's see. You have also checked out some. This is we're in April, and the end of the fiscal year came and went, and now there's not going to be maybe quite as many game releases for a little bit here. But Lego Star Wars: The Skywalker Saga finally hit. Seems like this game.
Yeah, this finally is out. I checked this out at the last E3 we went to, and they gave me a little minifig.
Jeez.
And I was thinking, I'm trying to remember. I don't even know if the 9th Star Wars movie was even out by that time. And unfortunately, I feel like it kind of stinks because I feel like after the new trilogy that had come out, 7, 8, 9, people kind of became super lukewarm on
Lukewarm.
Go on.
Oh, brother.
That's my only contribution to this conversation. Go on.
on like the new Star Wars trilogy, and especially with the kerfuffle about like Rian Johnson, J.J. Abrams, and all that jazz. But this is a vast departure from the super formulaic Lego Star Wars, Lego Batman games of the past.
Really?
Where I'm really curious to see how this plays in multiplayer, though. But instead of having like a kind of like diorama style level, you're behind the back, and it's a third-person action Lego game with some open world elements in between the little bits and bobs of story. So, like, if you choose to start with, I don't know, Episode 4, A New Hope, I've
heard of it.
That movie, the sequel to Rogue One. You start out as Leia, and then you wind up controlling the droids, and it's really interesting because like the whole time I'm kind of stuck in the pattern of wanting to break every single thing in the world because it's a Lego game, and they're encouraging that, but at the same time they're like, hey, if you want, you can continue the story over there, but you can just run around and do whatever the heck you want. And it's really interesting because like once you complete a level of an area, free play mode kicks in, so you can just explore the area. So say you only have control of the droids like C-3PO and R2-D2. Once free play opens up, you can switch back to old Ben Kenobi or Leia or any other characters you've unlocked and roam around the open world segments as them, because just like in Lego Star Wars games of the past, there are certain bits and bobs of the environment that, you need a Force user
like a certain
to do that.
type of character to. Okay, I was going to ask if it was still like that type of thing where you've got like, I'm a lightsaber user, and so I can do the cutting. And okay.
Yeah, still a bunch of that everywhere. It turns out the droids can't do the like super fast building animation, so you have to switch to a human. And they actually have different classes for each of the different types of characters. Like you have scavengers like Rey from Episode 7. And I think it's really ambitious, and there's like an obscene amount of stuff in this game, because on top of the different character classes, you can level those specific character classes, and then you can level up general skills that affect everyone, on top of like unlocking specific costumes or specific characters to play as in the game. You can get your Kit Fisto on, man, if you want it, if you need it. And at the end of each level, they're grading you based off of how many of the studs you're collecting. There's a poop ton of secret objectives in there as well for each level. So they're totally encouraging replayability. I don't know if it's the game that I want right now, but I really appreciate it for how different it's trying to be from like the previous games, while still trying to have that in there. The Lego people do talk.
Yeah.
Ooh.
That's a big deal.
I'm on the fence of that they shouldn't talk, but they're doing like a whole lot of jokes and wisecracking around. Some of it's actually funny, like in Episode 4, the scene where Ben Kenobi tells the stormtrooper, "These are not the droids you're looking for." You encounter that same stormtrooper later on the Death Star, where he's just going and wiping the floor. It's like, God dang it, those were the droids. I'm stupid. But the thing that I've fallen into lately, though, is I've kind of wound up enjoying more of the expanded universe lately of Star Wars. So, like, your Mandalorian, your Clone Wars, your Star Wars Rebels stuff.
I was gonna say, wait, that stuff's non-canon now. They threw all those books away.
The Disney expanded universe.
But it's okay. The
stuff.
Whatever.
No one cares, right? They're like no one cares what's what.
All
right?
that
like,
work that
good.
Alan Dean Foster did out the window.
It's all good.
Because I really like the stuff that Dave Filoni has put on. Like, I've fallen really hardcore in love with Star Wars Rebels, which is another animated series. And I wish, I know that is not as popular to the general populace as, like, the 3 trilogy movies, but I think I would have enjoyed some type of representation. I tried digging around, and I didn't quite see any of those characters, so you're not going to see a Kanan Jarrus or Ezra Bridgers in there. But if this does well, I would hope, hey, maybe we'll get some DLC of one of those animated shows, because apparently those do gangbusters for like kids and adults, because they fucking hooked me in. I mean, I feel like The Mandalorian is also super popular.
It's great. I like it. I will say it. It's great.
Yeah.
Yeah. Look at me.
Did it stay great? I feel like the conversation on that turned at some point, and people were like, "Actually, fuck The Mandalorian."
I think it was.
Maybe that was just the Boba Fett stuff that people were like, hey.
Like I finished it the other day, the first 2 seasons, and I mean, it's real dumb, but it's probably in my opinion, it's like the best Star Wars stuff. I know that I've offended millions of people.
No, I was in the same camp because I like not seeing Jedi, and I like pew pew pews.
It's just it's also like there's something about Mandalorian that sort of floats above everything else, where it is a very contemporary look at Star Wars, where they're sort of like, Star Wars is kind of lame in a lot of ways, but we're about to make it not so lame. We're still going to be a little lame, and there's still going to be some cheesy bullshit, but like, Mando's pretty cool. He's got a cool voice. His armor's badass.
Yeah.
His fucking little baby Yoda's the cutest goddamn thing you'll ever see in your entire life.
Turns out he's really handsome underneath that dang helmet.
Right? I mean, I knew who it was the whole time, just for the the actor's name and from Game of Thrones. Not a great end for him in Game of Thrones, but and that's the thing. Mando sits up. It orbits Star Wars in a way that like it's not Star Wars, but it just picks and pulls like real fun stuff.
Yeah.
The stuff that I was like, oh yeah, I'm cool with this. And there's weird cameos, and there's a scene where like Jason Sudeikis is a stormtrooper and he has like the funniest 7 minutes in all of Star Wars. Like all of Star Wars. Nothing comes close to like just how strange and human the stormtroopers are in that one little scene. It's just funny. It's good. It's really good.
Crazy.
And if you like Star Wars, like I think like this Lego Star Wars game is gonna be right up your alley. I mean, on top of like people that are in love with the Star Wars franchise just blindly consuming some of the stuff, I think there's a lot of actual tangible change that they've put into this that differentiates it from games of the past. The bummer though is that you can't just jump into any of the movies. So if you wanted to do like
start at the start of each trilogy.
Yeah, you have to start at the start of each trilogy. And then I kind of would have liked the ability to just pop into my favorite movie, which is Attack of the Clones, because it's the superior movie out of all 9.
Wow, nice.
Wow,
Yeah.
I like it.
That's an opinion.
Phantom Menace, man.
And here I was just being like, I just want to say that the holiday special is where it peaked for me, and I have not had much interest since in Star Wars.
That's about right.
It's the best thing they made.
It's easy to forget that there is some kind of fucking, and I'm just going to totally discount your opinion here, Jan, completely.
Totally, please.
There is some sort of generational shift where people started liking the prequel movies, and it's a problem.
It started with memes, but then it became earnest.
Yeah, at some point people were like, no, everyone was too hard on Hayden Christensen. And like, yeah, I guess. I mean, people shouldn't be dicks to people. I get it.
There's a lot of unironic walking backs of things.
Yeah. I am not here for it, as they say.
I think
it is pod racing.
I think part of what is has made people defend the episodes 1 through 3 are the animated series being so good, because this is the last thing I'll say about Star Wars, but I think Star Wars Rebels, I was in the same camp as you, Backlar. I thought Mandalorian was really great, best thing they've done. Yeah. Star Wars Rebels, I'm only on season 3. Shit goes so fucking hard. I've never loved Freddie Prinze Jr. more than I do now.
That's the cartoon?
That's one of the cartoons, yeah.
And Filoni does it too, right?
Filoni does it too, yeah.
Yeah, okay. I watched, did you ever watch the Disney Plus, like, documentary they did on all the directors from The Mandalorian?
Yes.
Yeah. And that was my first, like, introduction to that guy, and he seems like a lot of fun, so.
He's an interesting character.
Yeah.
My favorite thing about Star Wars is everyone's names, and also making up new Star Wars names and trying to quiz people on, like, is this a real character or did I just make it up?
Oh, that's too easy to get someone. I feel
people that and like, look, you know, I guess
here's my favorite made up one: Gungo Dunkus.
Sure.
Enjoy Gungo Dunkus.
I would buy that. Bullshit. He's on that list of all those fake baseball player names. Whatever. Anyway, I was gonna. They're putting Star Trek: The Motion Picture back out with a bunch of changes and a new 4K version. So that.
Okay.
That movie sucked shit, but maybe it'll suck shit less on the other end of this. I don't know.
Suck less shit. You never know.
Yeah. What else is going on? I finished Tunic.
Woo!
I don't know that I have a ton more to say about Tunic that I haven't said already, except, boy, that game takes a sudden, like, there's a lot of, it's very easy to look at that game as you're playing it and playing through the main stuff for the first time and going and getting your keys and opening door, like all that other stuff. A lot of people were very much like, man, I'm getting a lot of Fez vibes from this. And then at some point the game just says, oh, you thought you were getting Fez vibes from this? Really? Well, check this shit out. And then it's just like, they fucking open up a fucking box with a switch under it that says Fez, and they just flip it to fucking on and say, fucking, here you go. And you're like, oh, wow. Okay. You really did that. And it's fucking surprising. And it's awesome. Yeah. And the way that game makes you think in, let's say, like the back third of it, and some of that is required stuff, and some of it is like if you want to get the, like, quote unquote real endings and stuff like that, is surprising. It is challenging. It is difficult but not necessarily from a combat perspective, because that's all the stuff you would do to just get to the bad ending. You know, the difference between bad ending and good ending is not you were better at stabbing dudes. It is you are better at reading the manual and truly understanding what that game is really all about. And it's crazy.
I think my one complaint is I just wish the mana recharged. The very minor thing. I just wish the mana recharged just so you could fire off spells more frequently. But I guess, you know, it is all about resource management at the end of the day.
Yeah, and yeah, I'm with you. Those are fun tools to use, and it would be fun to use them more frequently. But instead they get treated like, oh, this is why there are regular enemies in the middle of this boss fight, because you need to kill them to get magic juice back.
They do that,
and that stuff's fine. I think that the last couple of big combat things you do in that game are rough.
Yeah,
like, it's fucking hard. And I wonder if like at some point, because that game does have just a straight up like toggle for what if you just didn't take damage. I wonder if that was the out for them to just go like, actually, it's okay that this part is sort of fucked. And yeah, like that stuff was, I feel like that stuff could be tuned a little bit better compared to the rest of the game. Like a lot of the rest of the game, I felt like, oh, these boss fights are challenging and I'm having a tough time, but I can overcome them. I can look at this and I can get there and do this other sort of stuff. The last couple of things, it's not like any one individual thing on the last couple of big combat things is challenging, but there's just kind of a lot of it strung together, and they become such long fights that you're just kind of like, okay, well, I guess it's good that I went and got all these bottles to recharge my health, but yeah, I don't know. Some of that stuff feels like it could have been like they're almost like daring you to just go like, hey, just fucking turn it on, just get through it. Like,
I had to do it during some of the boss fights, or at least the run-ups to certain boss fights, because some of the ranged enemies can do a lot of damage.
Yeah,
if you were just like fooling around and like slowly walking around.
Sure.
Also, the environment sometimes wants to kill you.
I think I technically beat every single part of that game without it turned on, but not in one go. Like the first phase of this sequence, I beat with it off, and then later on, after failing a bunch, I beat the second sequence of it with it off. But I never quite strung it all together. And I don't know, I feel fine about that, because I think those encounters are pretty wild. Compared to, like, even, people have said like that the other boss fights were like crazy difficult for them, and I don't know, I did not have a huge hard time with the previous bosses. But that late game stuff just feels like they just turn it to another level, and it's maybe a little much. I don't know.
I forget if I
gotta get back into it.
I forget if I asked this last week, but have y'all found a use for that shield bash that you can kind of do? Because it's not quite a parry, because you're winding up.
If you double tap block, he'll bash.
Oh.
And then there's one of the cards you can equip, I think, widens the window on that parry. So with that equipped, I was able to do it once, and I think it was just like a knockback on the enemy and kind of opens them up for attacks, but it didn't seem useful. The wind up on it is so weird, because you have you almost have to do it before the attack, depending on the enemy. Before the attack animation even starts, you have to fucking hit it in some cases, because it feels like it's so slow. Yeah, I don't know. It's a weird mechanic that I found myself doing accidentally more often than deliberately, and that was not great either, having that pop out. But
the last time I played, I made a lot of like no progress, and I got a little discouraged. I absolutely want to finish this game without a doubt. Let me preface by saying that. But I only have one of the keys on one of the color keys, and I like trying to fight that cathedral boss, and I was like, I'll get like 75% of the way, and then I just can't finish the deal. And I'm like, do I have to go somewhere else? And then I think I did go somewhere else. I did. And then I came back and played, and I'm in like an underworld now, and I almost have like a little bit of like nervous anxiety about like what I'm supposed to do, and just getting all around. I want to finish it so bad, because I've just really enjoyed all my time with it.
I had the same thing, and you can just go anywhere in the game, but you won't go too far off the path that you need to go.
There was an amazing one of the best moments for me was stumbling into the quarry. And just being like, well, this place is fucking radioactive. Like, I can't chill here. And then like finding a thing that lets me party in the quarry without, and I was just like, yo, and like two different, and I got to it in two different sides too.
Oh,
right?
Cool.
We can get to it from one side.
Yeah, the back side.
For me, I was just like, what a chef's kiss of a moment there. It was great.
There's an achievement in that game. So here's what I did. I finished that game. I guess the last thing I'll say about just the game qualitatively is having seen the like A ending and B ending, and not the, I think there is kind of one more secret ending if you find more fairies or whatever it is. I wish that there was more of a payoff at the end. I think that stuff is just like, here's this brief thing and then credits, and then you go like, oh, well, clearly I've got to do more to see this other thing here, and then you do that, and it's like, oh no, it's just a slightly different scene. It's a very different scene, but it is also a very short little boom, here you go, and now credits. And I wish that there was a little bit more of a payoff on those for the amount of work you have to do to get there.
Did you get all of the manual pages, Jeff?
I looked up a couple of them.
Okay.
But yeah,
the last one, I was stuck on for 2 hours.
Oh shit.
The last one, meaning like the last, like the
Yep.
front cover.
The front cover, yes.
Yeah.
Because
yes.
I don't want to spoil it. Just I was doing something wrong. I think I alluded to this last week, but I don't know if it was an intentional hint on that one of those manual pages. But then I saw it and I was like, and then it worked, and I was really mad.
They're always intentional. That
that's
whole
what I think.
book
I think
is
the whole
so
thing,
chock full of it. It's unbelievable.
Yeah.
So cool.
Yeah. Such an awesome thing. So the thing I did is I did all that on Steam, and then I said, fuck it. And I downloaded the Xbox version, or the Game Pass PC version, and started again. And there's an achievement for getting the gun before you get the sword. And
way to spoil it. There's a gun in this game. I didn't know that.
Yeah, well, whatever. There's like 6 items. And
you just spoiled it. There's 6 items. Damn, dude.
The game's been out for a long time. So
clown laugh you just did. That was crazy.
And the method that you do to do that is so crazy. And so I turned off damage and just went to go do that, because it's a lot of there's the stuff that actually I'm not spoiling here, that is the stuff that actually matters.
Yeah.
But there are things you can do at the very beginning of that game that will get you on a totally, like, basically you are on such a different path right out of the gate that, like, I like have one of the keys. I've only rang one of the bells, and I don't have the shield yet. I just got the lantern. Like, it's like, and partially from like playing the game and undercovering every shortcut or whatever, and then jumping right back into it. You're like, I don't know where to go anymore, because I've been everywhere in this game, and I don't know what the right path is anymore, because I know all of these paths. And it's insane to go back into it, because now you're just like, okay, I think I know where this stuff is, but now I've completely forgotten how to get there, because I'm so used to getting here in 9 different ways, and I have all the items in a totally different order. Like, it's crazy how different those paths can be.
Yeah, now that because now that you mentioned it, I'm thinking of a clear path in my head to get there. But also, I was wondering as to why there's 2 of a starting item. And then I was like, well, I don't need that. Why? Was
right.
This? Okay.
I don't know why. I don't know why that's there. I mean, because you don't need that for the thing that I'm trying to do. It's cool that it's there because it kind of saves you some time. But it just feels like that there's like an additional layer of speedrun stuff thrown into that game that, like, I'll be curious to see how the speedrun stuff is going, because there's a level of insane stuff. And like, if you go to the achievement site and figure out, like, where they say, like, here's how you get this achievement, like the first 2 things they have you do, you're just like, I didn't even know you could do that. And I don't understand how you would find out where that, there's a bunch of fascinating shit in that game that I'll be curious to see how quickly people blaze through it.
And it's on Game Pass. Oh,
and it's on Game Pass. You should definitely check it out. It's fucking cool. It's amazing.
I recommended this game to someone who was really playing a lot of Elden Ring, and he's such a fucking asshole.
And
I'm like, when you're done with Elden Ring, play Tunic.
I don't know if you want to play Tunic after Elden Ring, because
how about instead you just stop playing Elden Ring and go play Tunic?
Well, so that's what I did, right? Like, I paused Elden Ring because I'm definitely going to play more of that game, but I fell in love with Tunic so fast that I was like, I need to just see this all the way through, and then I'll go back to Elden Ring. So this guy, he plays it, and he's like, this is sort of like a Souls game. I'm like, shut the fuck up, man. I'm like,
it is.
I'm like, yes, but like the reasons we are all talking about it have nothing to do with like that one little mechanic, right? There is such a different, story here. And I'm like, dude, just play this game, the first reveal will happen where you're just like, oh, okay, this is a fucking, little cryptic puzzle box, amazing game. And he just like wouldn't do it. He's like, no, it's not. No, I'm not. No, it's another soul. No. And that was, that's it for him and I think.
Yeah.
Break up with him.
Probably for the best.
Break up with him. Friend divorce.
You just don't need people like that in your life.
I feel terrible because like I'm kind of bouncing off Tunic and I hate myself for it. And I feel like I'm trying to get back into it. And I just feel more lost than I thought I would feel. And more frustrated than I thought I would be. And it's not the mindset I was like prepared. I wasn't prepared for that basically in my mindset. And it's also like harder than I thought it would be, which is interesting. For like the look of the game. And like, I'm like almost considering starting over because like, I don't know. I'm just like annoyed and a lot of things are just annoying me. And I'm just like, of course there's guys here. Of course I can't go here. Of course I can see it from here, but I can't get there. And it's just like, for some reason, just driving me crazy that like I can see where I need to be. I know there's a little secret path here. I know I have to rub my little fox face over every single square inch of the map to try to find the little crevice that I can crawl into. Oh, wait, it's actually 5 screens over where that crevice is. And it's just like, for some reason, it's grinding my gears. And I hate that it's grinding my gears because I want to like this game so much. It's so beautiful. I can tell it's got so much stuff and layers to it and interesting things, but I find myself just continuing to be like irritated and feeling like almost like it's not like a puzzle, but that it's just being obtuse to piss me off or something. It's I don't know.
I totally, yes, absolutely. There were
and I hate it. I hate that for myself.
There were points in that game, like, because like it kind of sets you up with the first 2 things, which is like, hey, ring these bells or whatever, and.
I've rung 2 of them and I'm just like, phew, finally 2 of them. And then I find out there's keys too. I'm just like, God damn it, there's more shit to do.
Yes, yeah. They're really, they really like throw it at you again. Like, oh, by the way. But yeah, there's aspects of that. It was the thing I was really worried about as I was playing it was this feeling of like, you would get somewhere and find the shortcut back or whatever. And you'd be like, oh man, I'm never going to remember that this is here. I'm never going to remember how to get anywhere because there's so many different ways to get everywhere.
I want to write on my own map. I want to put my own little waypoints. I want to be able to fast travel way sooner than I think they'll let you eventually. I just got a feeling that they're going to let me eventually, or they're just not telling me the button to press to do it, which is the thing that's bugging me is that I have these things I can potentially do, but I don't know how to do it. And
That's
it's
the
like
magic, though. Like, read your manual.
It's in a manual. It's in a manual page I can't fucking find.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm just like, ugh, I just want some little quality of life things would like go a long way for me. And I feel like fast travel is just something they need to make like a tiny bit more clear. If it is a thing I can do now, like, is it a item I need to get, or is it just a button I need to press? Like, who's to say?
I just found out there's a gun in this game.
Right.
And that's kind of the awesome thing about it is like it makes a lot of those mid-game manual pages feel like fucking bombs going. Like you get it and you look at it and you're just like, oh, everything is different now. Yeah. Oh my god, this game!
Finally,
like the number of times I would
out how to
flip a page over and see a thing and go, oh my, I can't fucking believe that this is this. Like that's
I do like that aspect.
The magic of that. But yeah,
I feel like it's not happening enough for the things I really want right now. You know, like I'm figuring out some things and that's really cool. It's like, oh, this thing might do this. And like, oh, that's what these coins are for. Okay. You know, but it's just like, I want the quality of life. You don't know about coins?
What?
I'm really?
I'm just goofing.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you goofed.
Yeah, it's there's yes,
I appreciate it though. Like I appreciate like what they're doing. I just feel bad that I'm like not in the right headspace to take it in.
Come back to it. You know?
I know. I think I need a break. Like I'm not blaming the game. I'm pleased as peach that everyone loves it so much. I'm having FOMO because it's not like hitting me the way it's hitting everyone else, you know, and that's on me. Like, absolutely. I can tell this is really special and cool and interesting. And I'm frustrated with myself more than anything.
Starting it again might be valuable because even when I was marathoning through it and flipping in back and forth between Elden Ring. I was kind of losing the thread, so I just paused on Elden Ring completely and just went full Tunic.
I'm worried if I stop playing Elden Ring, I'm going to be terrible at it when I get back.
Just beat it.
I don't want to restart Elden Ring. I'm 72, 74 hours into it. That would be like, no, my life.
Yeah, it might be best to just get that out of the way. But like the thing, I guess, my worry ended up being for nothing in Tunic. Like that worry of just like, oh, I'm never going to remember this stuff. Eventually, you start to realize that that world is not nearly as large as it initially seems, which isn't to say it feels like small or whatever. Like you get so good at getting around it, or you get so good at kind of remembering vaguely where stuff is, that it mitigates that problem. So I was really worried about that sort of stuff of just like, how the fuck, like, I don't know where to go, and it takes forever to get anywhere, and what the like all that sort of stuff. Like as you see more of the world and start to figure out where it is you need to go, or more importantly, as you start to look at the maps and realize where you haven't been yet, that's probably the better way to look at it. Like
I also might just have terrible like spatial recognition or something, because I also have a hard time remembering.
I have pretty fucking terrible spatial stuff, and I ended up doing okay, but yeah, yes, there's a midpoint in that game where like everything you're saying, I was absolutely right fucking there. Like, this is so frustrating. I can't fucking believe this. Why can't I fucking fast travel? Like, what the fuck is going on in this game? I'm forgetting where everything is. And it's like, there's a part of me that's like, I know I need this to go to this location, but I don't know how to get there anymore. And just all those things start to fall into place in a way that like is a combination of, like, you start to find more of the parts of the manual, you start to realize more things about the game, and as you piece all those things together, it's really rewarding. So I would say, there's a certain aspect of that to it as well. So, but I would say also, if you're still trying to play Elden Ring, I don't know that I would try to play both at the same time, because that's you're gonna fuck up one of them. And and if you are serious about Elden Ring, like I was fine dropping Elden Ring because I just wasn't that serious about it anymore. I was like, I'm kind of done with this anyway. So it wasn't that big a deal. But yes, I don't know that I would recommend people try to get into Tunic while they're still playing that. I might say
whole different part of your brain to reckon with.
Yeah, definitely. But yeah, I will take Tunic. Like, Tunic is the best thing I've played all year, and probably better than anything I played last year.
Oh. Wow. GOTY 2021.
Yeah.
What year is it?
It's 22.
Sure.
Well, I was saying last year.
Yeah.
Oh.
Word. Yeah. What else? Doom has ray tracing in it. It always did. Someone went out and added straight up RTX like crazy lighting support to Doom in one of the source forks for Doom called PR Boom, which has been around forever. There is a version called PR Boom RT that adds just full on RTX ass ray tracing to Doom, and it'll cast, like, you can turn the lighting options a few different ways. I turned it all the way on every object, and so it just becomes, you have completely dark corridors. It gives you a flashlight, so you can just turn on a flashlight on the end of your gun, and then med kits and all these other 2D things just start casting shadows in the environment.
Nice.
It's nonsense. It's ridiculous, but it's a really neat look. I played through all of episode 1 last night, just in one sitting, just kind of blasted through it, and was like, wow, it's really neat. So if you have a card that can do that, it's a goofy little fun thing. You should check it out. Maybe I'll bring that to UPF or something. You can see a little bit of it, just because because, like, there are areas of that game that just have like lighting that like fades in and out, and by default it doesn't ray trace those lights, but you can turn that on, and then you've just got whole environments just doing all kinds of ridiculous lighting stuff that I thought was really fun. Backlar, you played some Kirby.
Yeah, I started the Kerbert game, and it was very quickly the controller was taken away from me, which is great because that's what I wanted.
Aww.
I wanted to kind of like, do that and have my kid play it. And then we realized there's a 2-player component to this game where the second player can be the total useless shitbag and play as a Waddle Dee. And that's what I've been relegated to, and it sucks.
You can't. I mean, you can't suck. I mean, can a Waddle
No.
Dee suck?
You can't go mouthful
No, it's actually
mode, huh?
it can't do shit. I just have a pointy stick, and I can occasionally do like a propeller move where I rain arrows down. And that's it. Kirby gets to do all the cool shit, and I'm getting yelled at.
Waddle Dees don't have mouths. They can't go mouthful mode.
They can't.
Is that what it is, that they don't have mouths?
They got no mouths.
Oh man.
In the anime, I remember King Dedede was trying to wonder, like, how do those Waddle Dees even eat stuff? They ain't got no mouths or whatever. And there was like a scene of him like putting a cookie up against the just flat featureless face of Waddle Dee, and it like phases through. Like,
Well, they're taking in calories some way because they're chubby little punks. I mean, anyway,
they like absorb it
through osmosis or something.
Terrifying.
But yeah, so like that game's a lot of fun and it's great. And there's nothing better than just seeing like, I feel like there's games from our history, from our youths, where like you're only going to be able to turn into like 4 things because that's all this game can really handle.
Yeah.
And just the constant surprising of like, what? I could be an escalator? Well, like you could just turn to all these goofy ass things. I love seeing my kid experience that. And it's been a lot of fun. And now he's understanding like the upgrading and stuff. And every time he finds a scroll where his like a weapon can get upgraded, it's great. I love watching all that stuff. I just don't want to play as Waddle Dee. So like that's the friction for me because it is such a pointless thing. It is for
you might get a chance to play as Kirby because some of the bosses are pretty damn hard. I don't know if your kid is the type to just ram his head against something until he wins, or be like, "Dad, you do it."
We actually made it. We put on the harder difficulty because he was just like, "This shit's too easy."
Oh yeah,
we're not super far.
Springtime breeze mode is like for babies.
We're through like the first 2 worlds, so he's like, "This shit's too easy. My life bar is real long. It's dumb." I'm like, "Yeah."
Does he know how to dodge?
I don't know. I don't think so. We'll find out.
Dodge.
Engaging witch time.
It gets important later. Like I've been watching my partner play the whole game, and like I'm not spoiling anything, but the bosses get hard at the end. Just like any Kirby game starts off like fun and cheerful, and then by the end you're fighting like literally God.
Yeah, that's been every Kirby game that I've played.
Which rules like. That rules so hard.
Kirby kills God finally.
Almost every game, he is like murdering some sort of godlike entity at the end of it.
Good.
And it's the most badass radical anime garbage you've ever seen. You're gonna love the final boss type situation that's going on in
I'm
Kirby.
excited.
I was cheering like watching my semi-husband play this thing. I was like yelling and screaming and being like, "What?" during the end. Awesome.
So yeah, I mean, I'm really digging it. And I just think that second player stuff, like who that person is for is just not in my home. It's like it's for like a 3-year-old who just wants to hold the controller.
I was gonna say, is it for that, or is it like the parent? Because it was like Mario Galaxy had the second, like you could just wave the thing around to collect additional stars.
It's not as useless as that, but
okay. That was meant to be like, hey, you're a parent, and you're this way you can kind of do something while you're watching your kid play it. But there's this
brutal.
Yeah,
I'm just like, dude, you got to go solo. This is mindless. You got to go solo. You got to go.
Like I'll sit here, but like don't make me.
I'll watch you play, but please, anything but being Waddle Dee, that useless prick. I can't. Yeah, he sucks. Anyway, but that game's a whole lot of fun. And,
cute, mad cute game.
Yeah, totally.
Yeah,
love it. Love all the secrets. Love all the the sort of like not just a cheapo kind of like broken down wall, right? Like a secret Waddle Dee rescue will be an intricate kind of its own little mini puzzle thing or something else pretty substantial. And that kind of stuff's a lot of fun. You'll love to see it for sure.
Yeah, that's awesome. I'm looking forward to getting into that. I had to get Tunic out of.
Totally.
I spent all my in-game currency on the stupid gatcha.
What is that? What's that?
The bubble capsule toys. Jeff.
Oh, okay, yeah.
The collectibles, and in your main hub village, you start with one machine, and then you eventually unlock a second one. And now I'm thinking they'll probably unlock a third one because there's space. So maybe I shouldn't have spent all my coins.
Yeah,
Well,
it happens, you know.
Well,
Kirby's got to get a job.
yeah,
for all
Kirby's
the
got to
scotches.
grind.
Kirby
What's
can
your-
get a job in this game.
Mm-hmm.
What's your vending machine that you had like a chemical dependency to?
Like the crane games.
Yeah. What was that?
Yeah, I've weaned myself off of them because
Okay.
there's no
Cool.
nearby crane games anymore.
Got it.
What if you
Okay,
just
well,
bought your own crane game and just had it in the house?
I think
Ooh.
I think I talked about it. I think on Alibaba it's actually not that much
Huh.
for like a full
What would you
size
put in
boy.
there? Just like
Snacks.
paper towels, like things you just
Toilet
need, like
paper,
make it your
like-
pantry.
yeah.
The
you know?
frozen blueberries for my smoothie or something.
Pick them
Nice.
up individually, one at a time.
Get
Yeah.
one of those refrigerated units. I like it.
Oh man, it's just right behind me. Replace my fridge with a crane game.
Dude, that is the most ridiculous mod I think I've ever
Fucking
thought of
ice
in my
cold
mind.
crane game.
where it's like, yo, who wants chicken tonight? All right, who's got a roll of quarters? Because we got to fish it out of the crane game.
I feel like that'd be a really good way to get your friends to like pay for stuff. And it's just like, oh yeah, I filled it up with all the It was like,
Yeah.
they're like, hey
Pretty
man, do you
good.
have any weed? And you're like, yes, I do. Be
Ooh,
my
put
guest.
those little tiny bottles of booze that you see in like the checkout aisle of
Yeah,
liquor stores. Put those in there.
I love
Like,
it.
be like,
We're
oh
on
man,
something.
I got 99 bananas. Ugh.
just a crane game full of cutty bangs.
Oh my god!
Yes!
Nice. We're on to something, you
A
guys.
refrigerated crane game.
Yeah.
You know what? I'll put it against the wall and put something else on the other side, so they can't do like the
Oh,
triangle
right.
side.
Yeah. Yeah.
periphery.
There's
That's-
no cheating in this
that's
house.
perception.
Exactly.
Mhm.
You
I
got all that
remodeled my
cardboard there
entire
already.
kitchen. I had to we had to bring contractors, the whole nine, in here to prevent
I-
cheating.
Landlord's
Can you
gonna hate it,
believe
but
I'm renting.
Yeah,
I
whatever.
think this is
Worth it.
a whole new interior decoration genre we've peeked into here, because I feel like I've never seen, I've seen a bunch of like, look at this man cave, look at this like ridiculous
Bacalar
mansion that
has
somebody built for
pinball
themselves.
machines.
Look at this pinball alcove, but I've never seen a refrigerated crane game as
It's true.
decor.
It's true.
I have seen a crane game that just had styrofoam cups, and then inside was either coupons or just cash.
Oh. Sure.
just straight up cash.
Yeah.
Just like
Where'd
a,
you
that's
find
like
this?
such a budget arcade. though.
$7.
Yeah,
It was like I think it was in Santa Cruz, like a boardwalk.
Mm,
totally.
And then like
Okay,
I
yeah.
pulled up a styrofoam cup, and then it was like $2, but not like $2 bills. It was like the $2 bill. And I was like, well, I can't spend
Oh,
this
really?
now.
That's
It's
this is
special.
that's
Fancy.
special money.
fancy. It's special money. It's worth exactly $2. Why don't we take a break? We'll come back with some news. Hunting down answers to your questions can be rewarding. But when it comes to hiring, you don't always have as much time as you'd like to spend finding great candidates with the right skills. And that's why there's Indeed, the best hiring partner your team can get. If you're hiring, you need Indeed, because Indeed is the hiring partner where you can attract, interview, and hire all in one place. Indeed is the only job site where you're guaranteed to find quality applications that meet your must-have requirements, or else you don't pay. Instead of spending hours on multiple job sites hoping to find candidates with the right skills, you need one powerful hiring partner that can help you do it all. And Indeed partners with you at every step of the hiring process. You can find great talent through time-saving tools like Indeed Instant Match, assessments, and virtual interviews. With Instant Match, as soon as you sponsor a post, you get a short list of quality candidates with resumes on Indeed that match your job description. And you can invite them to reply right away. And you only pay for quality applications that meet your must-have requirements. Virtual interviews. So this is like a time-saving thing. You can message and schedule an interview of the top talent seamlessly, all in one place. This stuff works right in the browser, so it's easy to connect with them and, get your questions answered. It saves you headaches with all the tech and scheduling, and are we going to do it over here? Where are we going to, oh, you don't have this installed, we need it over here. It's all just right there. No downloads, plugins, purchases, all that stuff. Indeed just takes all of that away. and lets you interview people as you see fit. And that makes it easy to hire great talent. And according to ComScore, Indeed is the #1 job site worldwide, delivering 4 times more hires than all other job sites combined. That's according to Talent Nest. You can join more than 3 million businesses worldwide that use Indeed to hire great talent fast. Start hiring right now with a $75 sponsored job credit to upgrade your job post at Indeed.com/bomb. Offer valid through April 30th. Go to Indeed.com/bomb to claim your $75 job credit before April 30th. Indeed.com/bomb. Terms and conditions apply. Need to hire? You need Indeed. Let's talk about science. Yeah, that's right. Science. Science tells us. What do they tell us? They tell us that the best way to achieve and maintain consistent deep sleep is by lowering your core body temperature. Temperature-controlled sleep repairs muscle after a hard day's work and improves cognitive function, so you always start your day feeling sharp and alert. That's, waking up groggy, waking up a mess. That's, I got kids running around the house, and I wake up and I'm like, where even am I? And so waking up sharp by staying cool is cool. Chili Sleep makes that happen. Chili Sleep makes customizable, climate-controlled sleep solutions that help you improve your entire well-being. Chili Sleep makes the Uller and Cube sleep systems. These are hydro-powered, temperature-controlled mattress toppers that fit over your existing mattress to provide your ideal sleep temperature. These luxury mattress pads keep your bed at the perfect temperature for deep sleep, whether you sleep hot or cold. These sleep systems are designed to help you fall asleep, stay asleep, and give you the energy and confidence to power through your day. And so you can basically, you have a whole thing you can configure with this. You download an app and tether it to the stuff. And so if you like sleeping warm, for example, you can start out hot, cool down later, all that sort of stuff. There's different settings that you can work with here to fit to your kind of sleep pattern, your sleep schedule. But the core here, the core of this, of the Uller, of the Cube sleep system, is keeping cool. Imagine waking up and not feeling tired. Ugh. Yeah, right? Chili Sleep can make that happen. And if you want an extra layer of comfort, there's also the Chili Blanket, the only weighted blanket that can also be paired with a control unit for the ultimate sweat-free sleep. That's a big deal. Hey, listen, I don't need to tell you that sleep is important. Sleep is the most important meal of the day, they say. Especially you get some of these hot nights, these sweaty nights, you get different types of sheets and blankets and all sorts of stuff, but that can only do so much. So if you're just waking up a sweaty mess, or if you're the sort of person that's just like, I gotta hang a leg out of the blanket to achieve the right temperature, and then I pull it back in, and I wake up and pull it out again. Look, there's technology for this. You could get Uller. You could get the Cube sleep system. You can get Chili Sleep. Head over to chilisleep.com/bomb to learn more and save 30% off the purchase of any new Cube or Uller sleep system. This offer is available exclusively to you and only for a limited time. That's Chili, CHILI, sleep.com/bomb to take advantage of this exclusive discount and wake up refreshed every day. All right, it's time to get back into it with the news. There's some things happening.
It happened. Currently.
Some things not happening. Some things are not happening.
Yeah, if things are not happening, that's also news, I guess. E3 officially not happening. This is a weird... Okay, so timeline of events here. The physical event, the hey, let's have an E3, that got canned back in January. Mm-hmm. And at the time, the ESA was extremely non-committal about a digital version of the event. There was a lot of you're just going to do another digital thing, even though that's a pointless sort of endeavor that you've been bad at for these past couple of years. And they were like, well, more info soon. And everything I had heard was that was definitely not happening. And so there was an aspect of this, someone doing PR for Razer tweeted out last week, I just found out E3's been canceled. And I was just like, yeah.
Yeah.
But I don't know. There's a lot of different lines of communication on this stuff that sound very strange, and I don't know what the actual bottom line was, other than at no point over these last several months, I would say even late last year, at no point were we like, yes, we have to get ready for E3, the branded event from the ESA.
Yeah.
It just never seemed like it was going to be a thing, especially after they were so non-committal about the digital version of the event. So end of an era, I guess. I mean, I don't, or did it end a couple of years ago when the physical event went away? I don't know how to feel about any of this stuff. It's technically the first year that there will be nothing even branded E3, which I guess is meaningful.
Oh God. Since for how long?
Since 95, I believe 95 was the first one.
I mean, look, the telling signs of E3's demise, excuse me, were apparent well before the events of the last couple of years.
When you were at that Sony event, I think that was your own personal moment of like, E3 needs to go.
If all I knew at that moment in time is if E3 is this forever, then count me the fuck out.
I feel like I've missed out. I'm new. I didn't get to go to Gamer Hell, and I feel like I've missed out on a really memorable,
honestly, Jess,
horrible thing that is like a rite of passage for people in the gaming industry, and I feel like I dodged a bullet, but I also feel like, I wanted to feel that bullet ripping through my heart, and how bad it is.
Well,
because I've heard it's terrible to go to E3.
That's pretty graphic.
It's I think terrible.
So I will even argue that I myself have not even experienced that E3.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I in a way, I think even when I started going, which was probably like 11 or 12, 2012, like even that was, I think, on the wrong side of the E3 through rose-colored lenses, if you will. Like, I think just because, I feel like I don't remember an E3 where like there wasn't some kind of vacancy.
Right. Yeah.
Right.
There was that, like, when Activision like left the ESA for a while, and they were just like, "We've got Call of Duty over here in a hotel. Fuck E3."
Like I don't. Again, like I felt like I was holding on to a bit of a secret the whole time, where I was like, "Oh, I feel like I may have missed the renaissance of this thing." Even in the beginning when I was going, for sure.
Yeah, I guess you're right. The thing. E3 was always incredible. It just depends on what you're looking to get out of it. I think that's the thing. If you are looking to attend a convention that has a show floor full of games you can just walk up to and play, that version of the show died probably around Bacalar's time. And the show very much transitioned into appointments mattering for everything. Usually it was like, okay, back in the GameSpot days, there were years where we wouldn't take an appointment with some companies if all of their games were just out on the floor, because it was faster for us with our large staff to just go, all right, when this show opens, everyone fan out. You go here, you go here, you go here, play all the fucking games and come back and do your goddamn write-ups. And if a company didn't have anything behind closed doors that was different, we didn't take a meeting with them. Generally speaking, because there wasn't really, unless you were like keeping up appearances and stopping by to say hello, like, you'd do something like that. But if those games were all out on the floor, you just didn't need to do that for coverage purposes. And at some point, more and more stuff started moving into those appointment chunks, and they just stopped putting a lot of games on the show floor. There's still games there, but it wasn't like the things you would go to play, like the biggest games of the show, at some point even just stopped being playable in a general sense. It was just like, okay, we're going to let judges touch it, but this demo is so not a game that you're just going to see that it's running in real time, and you're going to walk around in an environment, and we're going to prove to you that we've got something that is up and running, so that we can check this off as a playable thing that is eligible for awards, but you cannot report that you touched it or played it because it is so not a game yet that it'd be pointless to report on what you actually played.
So do you think that this shift occurred because they wanted just more control over what people were reporting? Or
I think that's
was there
there's always that aspect of it, and I think that has happened across the board. That's outside of even E3. Like, as social media and YouTube became a bigger deal, publishers stopped needing the press to get the word out about games that weren't out yet. So preview coverage, which was often hey, we're going to give you the exclusive hands-on on this game, and you're going to put it in the top slot so that the most people see it, and like all that.
YouTubers are so much easier to bribe than gaming.
Well, they don't. Sure, absolutely, of course.
You just give them exclusivity, and they'll be like, "Wow, they flew me out somewhere, and it was this really cool room, and I got to play this really cool game." Guys, they're not going to be, objective in any way about the experience, because it's just like, wow, I'm being treated special.
But I don't even mean that, because I mean, like, at some point EA just said, well, fuck it, we're gonna start our own YouTube channel, and we have people here who can conduct interviews just as well as you can, so we're gonna interview ourselves about our games and put it out. And so that change happened, and E3 I think kind of changed accordingly around the same time, but it just became like more and more people were getting into E3 that maybe didn't need to be there, or didn't really have a great, it wasn't necessarily helpful to the publishers that those people were there. So it wasn't like those people were not getting appointments, and those people weren't necessarily, you don't need to put games out on the show floor for them, because what are you getting back out of it, and all that sort of stuff. So I think that the show floor moving behind closed doors more and more over the years, I think it makes sense, but it was sad in its own weird way to see all that stuff happen, because it just changes the tone of the show to just like, all right, now you just have a stage and you're yelling about stuff on it, because every single booth now is running a live stream, and every single person is talking, every single company is talking directly to the public, and all this other stuff. Like the usefulness of the show just changed at that point, because it used to be like, okay, everyone's going to go to the show, but really only GameSpot and IGN and like, I don't know, game trailers, or like there were not many, G4 was around for a bit there. Like, no one was doing live full coverage of the show other than like those 4 outlets. And so you would go, if you were making a game, you would go around to those 4 stages, do those 4 stage shows, and spend the rest of the time talking to press, whether it was like mainstream press that was there to do it, or whatever else you had time for. And you just don't need those outlets like you did then, because they can just talk to those people directly by posting trailers to Twitter and starting their pre-order campaigns that way, and all that other stuff. So just as that whole industry, as the whole game journalism thing changed, and has social media changed, the publisher press relationship, I think E3 just kind of got caught in the middle of that to a certain extent. So like the E3 has always been awesome, like I said, but it's always been dependent on what you're looking for. In those early years in the 90s and early 2000s and stuff, you would just go and you would see just all kinds of games everywhere. And you like, there were more games that you could play, and you would just like run up to a kiosk and play a thing. And there would always be like a handful of things like, hey, this is something we're only showing to print press because we want them to talk about it in 6 months, and you online guys don't even get to see it. There'd be games like that. There'd be games where it's like, okay, we're gonna let the online people see it, but like don't report on it, and we're gonna embargo. Like, you'd see embargoed stuff at E3, which was always fucking weird. Or things that they would hold back for just investors, retailers, like different things. Were like, okay, we're only showing this game to analysts and investors because we want them to have a look at what our portfolio is going to be for the full year, and we're not even telling the press that this game exists. And so you'd hear like, oh, this game's definitely here. And you'd go to the booth and be like, hey, I hear this game's here. And someone will just look at you and go, nope. And just lie to you, because you're online media. And for you, that game is not there. But sometimes you get into those things because you know someone who knows someone who knows someone. And those were always fun little moments. But I don't know. That show's always been about people. And the interesting part about it was always checking in with everyone about, hey, what's going on in the world of game development? What's fucked about it this year, or whatever, and catching up with people that you don't get to see on a regular basis. That stuff never changed, as long as it was a physical event, right up until that last year, when I think some publishers were like, if you're opening to this to the public, then we're not going to send as many people, and we don't really care about it. And the ESA has struggled to find a relevant angle for that show. I don't think that's
it's had an identity crisis for a very long time. When the autopsy finally comes back, and I say comes back, meaning like, you know, in the next decade when you look back on it, I think the autopsy will reveal like cause of death was many, many different things, right?
Totally. Yeah.
And you know, I think a lot of it too is just all these different elements, not exactly sure what they want to get out of it.
Yep.
And I think when you just have that, you know, battlefield so raw and so unsure and undecided and you know, kind of fragmented, it just sort of resulted in this thing that everyone seemed to all agree on, that we need to be here, but we're not exactly sure why. Yeah. And
like on paper, like a bottom lining some kind of like ROI conversation about it, you go like, okay, we spent all this money on a booth, what did we get back? And at some point you're like, I don't even, why
yeah.
Yeah.
And E3 is just caught in the middle of all that.
Yeah,
because it was so interesting from like my perspective of, I think I've only went to 2 E3s, but just like the level of dedication for building out like a pseudo office space, or like the varying degrees where like one company will literally have a cubicle in a hall somewhere that you have to walk through 5 different hallways to get to, and then another company will just have like this grand huge presentation for an Olympics game that I don't remember whether or not it eventually came out, and like they'll give away so much free swag for stuff and none of it will matter a couple months afterwards because the game may not even come out.
Oh, that's when it matters most.
Yeah.
It's a lot of companies spent a lot of money, and I don't know that they always got, especially in these more recent years, if they actually got out of it what they put into it. And I think that's the biggest thing for the ESA's part. They claim it will be back next year.
Okay.
It would almost take 2 years off.
Find yourself,
E3. Go in the desert and wander around.
Yeah, and you know, for people that might not remember, like, you know, the last couple of events, they tried to open it up to the public and sell tickets and stuff like that. But like that aspect of it felt so half-assed compared to something like PAX, where like PAX is built for the public. The games on the show floor are there, and with like full knowledge of like, okay, we know the sort of person that's going to be on the show floor looking to play games. And so these builds are a little more solid, a little more tested, a little less broken. And at some point, like that's not what E3 should be. Teams already have to crunch and go crazy to try to put an E3 build together, to try to make sure that build is something that like anyone off the street could play without going like, yeah, I don't know, broke on me. That sucks. Devs shouldn't do that, all that extra work. It's not worth it. And I think that's the other reason why you started to see more and more games move behind closed doors, is because they can control who sees it, and they can put it in front of people that are going to go, they're going to be able to go like, hey, you know, this game's like pre-alpha, right? And you're going to go, yeah. And know pretty much what that means in terms of what you're seeing. And yeah, it's sad. This is you know, I was doing this before there was an E3, and when E3 started, it was awesome because it was the game industry finally getting respect. The game industry was finally big enough to warrant its own huge show and split off from CES, and the people at CES treated video games like it was fucking garbage. They put us out in a fucking tent in the middle of a parking lot playing Super Nintendo games in the cold.
Toys. They just thought it was just toys.
Or even worse. Yeah, it was just like, you know, here's the space over here. You have to walk past all the, you know, car speakers to, you know, find your way out of this area. Turn left at the porno and then walk past the...
They put it in the smoking section.
Yeah, basically. And the game industry felt like it got zero respect at CES. And I only went for, you know, the games were at CES for a lot longer than I was at CES. I think I went to like 4 CESs. Like I started going to CES in 92.
Holy shit.
And then E3 was like 95. So I went to like 3 or 4 because there were 2 a year. there was Chicago and there was Vegas. And so I went to 3 or 4 CESs before E3 started up. And like, you just had that vibe. Like, even, I was fucking 16, but you could still look at that stuff and tell, like, man, fucking these people don't give a fuck about video games, do they? And E3 that first year, those first few years, like, felt like a big deal. It was like, hey, the PlayStation's coming along, the Saturn's coming out, like, all this stuff is happening. And video games are such a bigger deal now. We're coming out of this multimedia era funk, and it's gonna be crazy. And all that stuff happened around the same time, and just felt like a really big deal. And yeah, I don't know. It's sad, but it's also inevitable that E3 was eventually going to stop, and they say they're going to start it back up, but I don't know if we'll have to see what happens. So I guess as a part of this, for the last few years here, there have been a few other kind of attempts to group company announcements together. Jeff Keighley, I think, is kind of put together the most prominent of those under the Summer Game Fest banner. He's remained pretty coy about what that's going to be this year, other than to say, like, yes, in the month of June, we will have announcements that will happen under that banner. And he's done a really good job of trying to organize that stuff. Because I think the thing that first pandemic year, that first, like, 2020, when everything was just the Wild West online, and you had just people announcing stuff all over the place, and like Jeff Keighley, if nothing else, Jeff Keighley is the traffic cop that the game industry needs to make June work.
Yeah, I mean, like, that is what E3 wishes it figured out, right? Like,
yeah.
They, like, comparing the two, like, one is this incredibly inconvenient, expensive, gigantic thing, like, in every way, and the other is just like a very streamlined, way through, efficient,
and it's different business reasons, right? I mean, the ESA, the E3 has been a really big moneymaker for the ESA over the years. So when they went
have
digital,
a product they're selling.
They were definitely still trying to get money out of publishers to be a part of a thing that they were just like, well, wait a minute, what am I actually now? Like, the return on investment's even crazier, because you're saying, I can run a live stream right fucking now. Give me 5 minutes and I can push some buttons and stream out some game trailers. I don't fucking need the ESA to do this. Like, what are you actually offering for this money? And they're like, we have a website with virtual booths. And you're like, this is terrible. Like, all of their tech, all of their online experiences have been garbage. And so, Keighley has been there to kind of get people out of each other's way, and he's been good at doing that.
So what do you think is going to replace the social, like, aspect that E3 kind of filled the void of? I think maybe like GDC, or is that a little not quite the same thing?
It's not the same.
Is there something that kind of fills that niche or might grow into that sort of, like, social, networking style element that also encompassed E3?
If none of the existing shows are going to do it, right? Which I don't, which I agree. I don't think there will be that. I almost think, somehow this would basically be like going backwards with it, right? But, like, maybe a physical component does pop up in a way around the Keighley's thing, right? Where, like, there may be a reason to go to where they're doing that, even if I feel like it's not all of it's going to be live either, right? So it's like, what is that? Is there even a tangible destination?
Yeah,
not really. So I don't know.
Yeah, I obviously COVID plays a factor here, and we're starting to see more and more news stories talking about that those numbers are going to pick up again, based on signs in other parts of the world and all this other stuff. And they always refer to it as like, another wave is coming. It's like, yeah, it's because you told everyone to take their fucking masks off, dumbass.
Yeah, you told everybody to go on vacation.
Yeah. So, like, we're in April right now, and the numbers are, at least where I'm at, near to where an E3 would happen. Numbers are pretty low. But will that be true by June? If I had to make calls on, like, renting out a space and putting down deposits on buildings and all this other stuff for a June timeframe, I would be super fucking skittish right now about doing that.
I have travel insurance on my upcoming trip in June to Vegas.
Yeah.
So...
Oh God, going to Vegas in June. Good luck. Goddamn. So yeah, I don't know. I think that, you know, and obviously Keighley is a part of Gamescom as well. You know, they started doing that opening night live thing for the past couple of years, and that's kind of just really a one night show and a couple of other things around it. And so you have some announcements that ended up being like a little later in the summer around that. E3 backing out. That dude has really sewn some of this shit up. I'll give it to him, man. He's in a pretty good spot if that's what his goal is. But yeah, a physical event, I would certainly be interested in it, assuming that the case numbers don't creep back up, but it sounds like they're going to.
Let me lay some cables somewhere. I need to. I coiled up all these SDI cables.
The fucking satellite truck, all the crazy shit.
I need to route XLRs.
Yeah.
I need something to go wrong to get the high of fixing it.
I want a couch to break while people are sitting on it while we are streaming. I need some fucking chaos. I would love for that to.
That's what I feel like I'm missing out on. Like the trial by fire chaos.
Totally. We're running a live show. It's the
panic, the fear.
Yes. The we are gonna vamp our way through this, and
the bonding that comes with, you know, making it through something crazy and being really tired together, you know.
At some point we are like evangelizing like crunch culture type stuff, and I want to be kind of hesitant there, but like there were years where like GameSpot going to E3 felt like fucking we're getting ready for war. And it was treated that way, like in terms of like we look each other in the eyes and be like, we are gonna fucking stay up all night and finish these fucking write-ups and fuck IGN. We're gonna get out there and fucking do it. And at some point it was like, what crazy thing are we gonna do this year? And you'd have like Ryan McDonald be like, I got these backpacks. We can stream live from the show floor.
They still use
these
those
backpacks with, you know, with these live view backpacks. We're gonna get out there and Homer's gonna be out there doing something. Like, all right, that's fucking crazy, but sure, go. And so there's always this like tech spend going into E3 because at the time, and you know, the advertising industry has changed completely. Like, all this other stuff just doesn't exist the same way it used to. But it used to be that like E3 time was when you made, like, there was E3 and Christmas is when you made all this fucking ad money because all these publishers had games to advertise on the front page of the site, and you know, the fucking army would come in and spend a bunch of money during E3. Like, all these different companies would come in and advertise cars and all kinds of stupid shit. We had fucking cars in the fucking booth. Like, hey man, you come back and you could win a Yaris. I'm like, great.
Yes.
We're all crunched into an even tighter space because marketing needed to put a Yaris in our booth. Awesome. And that's all gone now too. Well, not all, but like that's not there the same way it used to. But that used to justify like, we can go spend however much fucking money we want on whatever fucking dumb tech we need if we think that's going to make E3 an even more attractive destination for people. And so you could get away with like, okay, what do we want to do for the rest of the year? Like from a broadcast, from like a live streaming perspective, let's roll it all into the E3 spend. And then we'll bring all this shit home from E3 and be able to do some even dumber shit with it. It was crazy. It was fun. But like, you know, it was also like an endurance test. It was just like, let's do a week without sleeping. And I think even Giant Bomb's E3 coverage, we stepped back from so much stuff that was like, we thought of as like, that's GameSpot shit. In terms of just like shooting interviews on the show floor. Like there was at some point we just really rallied around that nighttime show. And like that last physical E3, I used to take back-to-back appointments all 3 days of that show and then do the nighttime show.
Damn.
And I got to a point where I was like, you know what? I really need to focus on making this show better. And so like there was one day last year that I didn't go to the show floor for more than like an hour. Like I went for like an hour, walked around, saw a couple people, and then bailed on the show to go prep for the night show. And it was such a crazy thing based on the number of years that was just like, no, you have to keep going. You need to see as much. There was like, no, these people are going to come to us. I'm going to do these interviews. This is the coverage we're producing. And this is the stuff that truly matters. And we're going to get out there. Other people are going to get out there and see the games at the show that we need to see and all this other stuff. And I'm going to talk to them about it. Like, I never once went to any of those Cyberpunk behind closed doors demos. Other people went to that stuff. I was just like, go and then fucking come tell me about it.
Mm-hmm.
And yeah, I think that was the most like dramatic change for me. I don't know. Again, I'll say they claim that they're going to do it next year. So it's hard to like sit here and eulogize the thing completely, especially, but at the same time, I feel like we've been eulogizing different parts of E3 for the past 5 to 10 years.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, definitely.
Well,
I know. I'll never forget one year, maybe like 14 or 15. I would always book myself pretty light, and it was like day one, and they don't open. It opens later day one, right? It's like a 12. It's
because Nintendo press conference is happening, so they open the show floor after that. Yeah.
So so maybe like my first appointment was like 1 p.m. and it was to see like a Far Cry game, and I remember getting there, and like it was someone at the time who was doing PR for Ubisoft that I was friends with and I knew, and we both looked at each other and we were just like, no, we both don't want to be here. And I don't know what it was. It just set the tone for my entire E3 where like, it was just that, and there were better E3s after that for sure. And I was in a better place mentally after that, but there was something about having my disdain and my my attitude met on the other side, who was supposed to just like, be a smile, their job is just smile, like be friendly. Like we were both just like, oh fuck, this again.
It's fucking work. It's hard work. I mean, I have felt that way while simultaneously being super fucking excited to be there. I think it's such a weird thing. And I like the audience, I think is often like, oh, boo hoo, you have to go see the video games. And like, yeah, I get that, because I want to see the video games. It's why I still fucking do this, because I want to see the fucking video games. But yeah, when you stack it all up like that, it's not a great way to see the video games. Yeah. And the last 5 years of E3 became an increasingly worse place to see the video games. And
also, people forget how hard it is to just walk around on poured concrete floors all day. Well, no,
they're like, soft, but there's carpet.
It's convention carpeting. Sometimes it's good, sometimes it's bad.
Yes, your point stands. It's not easy. It's not comfortable. It's shitty. It's a tiring day. It sucks.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. I just I was reminded of a thing that happened to me one year where I took a picture at the EA booth of what looked like the cover of NHL whatever. And the cover athlete had not been announced. And it was just a banner in the thing. And I tweeted it out to the 11 people that follow me who like hockey. And I inadvertently broke the story of who was going to be on the cover, and the entire day, right, I was hit up by like a CNET PR person, and they were like, hey, all these Canadian AM radio stations want to talk to you about how you broke the cover athlete on the next NHL game. And I canceled everything for the rest of my day, sat in my hotel room and talked to Winnipeg and Ontario and all these stations for the rest of the day, talking about Martin Brodeur on the cover of NHL, whatever it was.
They would set us up. Sometimes they would just set us up with mainstream media interviews, and it was like something that always seemed like somewhat important, but also, again, I'm there to see the video games.
Yeah.
So when you tell me like, hey, we booked you for this, you have this 45-minute phone call with some newspaper in the middle of nowhere to talk about Nintendo's big announcements, I was like, fine. Like, this is a fucking terrible use of my fucking time.
I'm just imagining you on like a local news thing, and it's like Jeff Gerstmann, video game fan, as the lower Chiron or something.
No, well, I was on. That was when Cyberpunk was coming out and was a mess. I was on German television for that.
They're like, he's one of us.
I went through media training. That was one of the one year they decided to put us all through media training, and it was all in service of those interviews and how to not get roped into a conversation about video game violence. That was how it all.
Ooh.
They were like, here's how to pivot out of this. If they start asking you these sorts of questions, here's how to pivot out. And I was like, I'm not an idiot. I've been on. All right, well, whatever. But it was useful up to a point. But it was a lot of like, go into these interviews with the 4 things you want to say, and here's how to pivot whatever fucking dumb question they ask you around into. And now every time I see interviews, I can just see people doing that all the time now. And it makes me feel gross that I like learned that part of it or whatever. But yeah, we did a lot of weird stuff like that. There was separately from E3, but there was like a while there that like every year I was interviewed by a bridal magazine.
Sick.
What?
A bridal magazine would do some kind of video game article one time a year, and I was their contact for it. So
For all your
How is that
semi-husbands
relevant?
out
I have
there.
no idea. I never saw what the other end of it. I never saw what the articles ever looked
Oh,
like.
that's interesting.
And-
Someone find this. What is this like?
Well, so
What
like
are we doing?
half the time it felt like we were being used, because I did see some of those articles and it was almost like they were just asking us because they didn't know, and then they would go write the article about the games as if they had done the research and
Oh.
not include any quotes or any information about
But again,
me
why
or
would
us.
Bridal Magazine have anything?
gifts for a
Any
wedding. I have no
article.
idea.
Yeah, who knows?
I
Like
don't
nobody
know.
nobody
Who
gives a
knows the
video
angle?
game for a wedding gift.
You gotta write a bridal magazine year round. At some point, you're gonna like, fuck it, let's do a video game article. I
yeah,
guess.
at
I
At
don't
some
know.
You
point,
could
you're
work
gonna
that in.
write
Quirky
about
gifts
everything.
for quirky weddings. Yeah, I don't know. It was fun, but yeah, I don't know. It was weird. I don't know what I want to happen here. Like, there's a part of me that's like, if they're gonna skip a year with E3, I want it to be over so that I can be done. I outlived E3. It's over. It's done.
I can finally rest.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, and I want, and whatever replaces it. If Keighley comes up with something, if the ESA comes back with a different type of, or they just say fuck it, we're just going to stream stuff, or hey, maybe Reed gets involved and PAX does a LA show in June. Any number of weird things could happen. Maybe Gamescom makes a play for the U.S. market in a bigger way. Like, there's just a lot of different, there are pieces in play here that we'll see how it all goes. The one thing I do think is I think Keighley has a leg up on all that stuff just because he's extremely well connected and he's already used to traffic hopping this stuff in June, and I think he's poised to do something bigger than what he has been doing. And we'll see what he does. I don't know. But yeah, I'm torn. I don't know. It feels very weird for there to not be an E3. Like I said, this has been I can't even tell you how many years it's been since '95, but it's been a lot of them. And yeah,
What if I set up a table outside the Microsoft Theater of something I made, and I'm selling for like 49 cents?
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
We're
Yeah.
getting there.
Could we get like there was that one year that GameSpot, every GameSpot E3 conversation was about the truck.
Oh yeah.
Oh, the
And like,
truck.
yeah, we got the truck.
My
We got the
first-
truck. There's going to be
with, like,
esports happening
satellite
at the
shit?
truck. No,
Like
no, it
satellite
was
shit?
no, it was with the public years. They went and got like some kind of double decker truck, and then the New Day was on it one year throwing pancakes out at
Oh.
people.
Yeah,
And it was like,
they
come to the truck. We've got Jack in the Box tacos. And I'm like, I want those, but I'm too busy.
Well, that's the thing, right? Like, in the same way that E3 evolved into this just marketing, public facing thing, as did GameSpot, right? Where
totally.
it was just like, yo, we can activate motherfuckers here because
Yeah.
people are going to be coming to LA Live and we need to like turn them into clicks. I know that sounds crazy, but we need to turn real life people into internet eyeballs. And like, that's how that happens.
But that I don't, well, not to fucking
why that
spend
happened.
a bunch of time talking about the truck, but like the truck never felt like something that was going to get people to look at GameSpot. It felt like it's something that was like, oh, we sold a bunch of sponsors on the truck, so we want people to look at those sponsors, and the GameSpot brand is just
Well, it goes both
incidental.
ways for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It was just like, hopefully people will come to see the New Day, and while they're here, Jack in the Box has new tacos. Like that, it felt like that was the play, and I was like, all right, okay.
Comic-Con is like the number one culprit of like all of that shit.
Yeah.
Oh, sure.
I've been on the
never
Geico bus.
I've never been to Comic-Con. It always
They had
like,
a whole bus in there
Yeah.
decked out in Geico shit, and I don't even remember what was in there because it was just like I got merch of the Geico gecko at the end, and it just erased every experience of my life before that point because it was so weird.
Yeah,
That's
no,
awesome.
that sounds about right. I had opportunities to go to Comic-Con, but every time they were like, "You want to go to Comic-Con?" I was like, "Fuck no, absolutely not."
You don't want to take a selfie with the Nesquik rabbit?
I had a
Come
couple
on.
of
If you would put it that way, I would have been like, The only thing I heard about that happened at Comic-Con that I would have maybe liked to have seen was William Shatner landing in a helicopter on an aircraft carrier for some kind of party.
That sounds sick.
It sounded
missed
very
that
dumb. Yeah, it sounded very dumb. But whatever.
I was at an Assassin's Creed Black Flag party and Kojima was there. And that's the greatest thing that's ever happened to me. Didn't even make eye contact, didn't even see him. It was just
Over the drinks, was it all rum?
Yep. And
What was the music? Was it all shanties?
It was all Pirates of the Caribbean.
Oh god, that sounds abysmal. See, that's my Kojima party story was seeing him coming out of a porta potty at the Sony party, and
oh shit,
and that he yes, also wasted, but also
the
so
idea of
were
Kojima
we.
coming out of a porta potty is precious to me.
The parties were fun. The socializing was fun. Michael Pachter's little thing, not little thing, but I only got to go to it twice because we were doing our nighttime show. But that was very interesting because it's just like you get to run into people that you don't normally see on the show floor at E3 and talk to them about what they're really doing. And that's always fun.
Indeed.
Yeah.
E3.
Long live E3. I don't know. I'm so torn. I have a lot of feelings. A lot of my life is wrapped up in prepping for E3 and then finishing E3 and talking about what could we do better at E3 next year. Like there's a lot of
What if we just interview E40?
Okay, yeah.
We just sit down with E40. We just do a really good interview with E40.
I love it.
Fantastic.
I love this plan.
Ooh.
I want him to teach me how to say properly. Gouda. Steam Deck. It's Q2 now, so if you were in the Q2 group of Steam Deck emails, like I am,
Yeah,
you're
Mazel tov.
Yeah, hopefully that's going to happen. They tweeted something onto Twitter, which used to be a social media network, saying, "Welcome to Q2. We've just sent out the first set of order emails to Q2 reservers in order of reservation time. Starting today, we're ramping up Steam Deck shipments and we'll be sending out more order availability emails every week, sometimes even twice a week." So,
whoa.
So for all that to be their statement and then for Jan to be moved back to Q3, I don't know what's happening.
These jerks.
That's worrying. I mean, they're not even done sending out the Q2 emails, presumably, and you already got.
I was thinking, like,
backed up, man.
Oh, cool! I could bring my Steam Deck to E3 and play some stuff in between appointments and getting ready for the show. Now I can't have either of those things.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Sorry, dude. Sorry.
Yeah,
It's the opposite of Mazel Tov. That's how I feel.
Yeah, that's Basil Tov.
Balzel Tov. I'm sorry if that offended anyone. I don't know.
I don't know. I don't know how any of that works. Unreal Engine 5 is out as of this morning. Epic held a little live stream where they said, "Hey, by the way, Unreal Engine 5 is out." This had been out in some form previously, but this is kind of like the full release, and you can just go download it if you want to make some games. They have a couple of sample projects. One appears to be a first-person shooter, and one is the city from that Matrix demo. And yeah, they have a big long post on their blog detailing all of the different pieces of the Unreal Engine. I think the upshot here is that also the marketplace for UE5 is open now. So much like Unity has had a marketplace for a long time, this is a place where people can upload and sell assets. And so if you don't want to make cars for your thing, you can get some cars out of the marketplace and put them into your game, and all this other stuff. As asset generation becomes more and more expensive, these sorts of marketplaces seem like they will be a much bigger deal. That's been a big thing for Unity, not always a good thing, but because I can't remember the number of times we've like played a game on UPF and had someone go like, "Oh, all these assets are also in these 9 other Steam games."
Gonna make the most Jason game out there.
Exactly. Yeah. It's kind of get like it's just a sword launcher out of the marketplace. They also announced the next Tomb Raider at this thing. The next Tomb Raider will use Unreal Engine 5. It's an early development at Crystal Dynamics. And kind of the only real thing they said there is that they're envisioning this new game to take place after that previous trilogy. That trilogy was kind of like about reestablishing Lara. It was kind of like a redoing the origin story.
Soft reboot, sort of.
Yeah. And so kind of showing her as not this confident adventurer. And I guess the feeling at Crystal right now is that this new game will be like, okay, we've established that, and now here's the Lara Croft from the 90s as being here, ready to fuck shit up.
Those games are so funny because she came off as so unhinged.
Yeah.
It was super like unintentionally funny to play those games because ladies
as
a
they
psycho.
got deeper, as they got deeper into them and started like they kept trying to play off of that. They're like, okay, but she's murdering all these people, and how is she going to deal with that? And then the things they wrote to do that just seemed even crazier.
This lady's nuts. I don't like her very much. Again, Crystal Dynamics wasting their time with Tomb Raider when they have a perfectly good Gex at home that they could be working on.
So I played that Gex Jr. thing.
Oh no.
So Gex Jr. got leaked.
It's not a real. So it's a spec project. It's not from. But also it's not from Crystal. It's from another company that made a bunch of edutainment stuff. That at some point said, "What if we made a Gex game?" And this was like their pitch build or something. From the sounds of it, so it's not even. It's like if you and I sat down and made a Gex, not that we could, but if we sat down and made a Gex demo to try to pitch to Crystal Dynamics. Well, what if Unreal Engine 5 is making game creation easier than ever?
Oh.
Anyone could pitch a Gex game.
Anyone can pitch a Gex game. I mean, Square even at some point set up a process for like making bad pitches for their old IP, so they're ready. Those Tomb Raider games always felt like they got a bad racket or got a bad deal from Square because they were almost always the focus of the like, this Tomb Raider game didn't meet expectations. Anyway, Final Fantasy's been delayed another year, sort of things. And so it's interesting that they're willing to go back to it. But we'll see.
The multiplayer was surprisingly fun.
Oh, that's right. They did do that.
In the second one? Really
forgot all about that.
Really nice to just swing around like a climbing pick into someone's body. Sorry.
Yeah.
That's what a
we still talking about video games or
Mazel tov.
All right. There's a new Monkey Island in development.
Wow.
Ooh.
Yeah. Ron Gilbert and Dave Grossman are on it, writing. It's being developed by Terrible Toy Box, which is the team that did Thimbleweed Park, which Gilbert also worked on. Devolver is going to publish with Lucasfilm Games being involved, and by being involved, I assume that means they approved the use of the IP or something to that effect. Bunch of people returning. Some of the composers returning to do the score. Dominic Armato, who voiced Guybrush Threepwood, is returning, and this seems to be following off of the second Monkey Island. There were more than those, but I don't know if they're like, hey, we're going to ignore those and go back to what we know.
Is that LeChuck's Revenge?
I believe that's the case.
Okay.
That's cool. It was announced as like a partial April Fool's joke, but increasingly those have to be real things to actually be April Fool's jokes now. I don't know where we are on the wheel of where April Fool's is at.
It's bad unless it's real. Is where I'm at.
Yeah, I think I'm like, it's bad unless you're actually really fooling people in a really mean way. When you're like, here's our funny announcement, and you look at it and go, ugh. The Twitch one. So Twitch did like hey, we've added a quiet reading category, and here's a live stream of someone just quietly reading a book.
I think it was Mary Kish.
Yeah, it was Mary. That one didn't work for me because that sounds exactly like the sort of thing that Twitch would do.
Mm-hmm.
And so it got me. But also, I don't know if that says good things about Twitch.
You fool. You April fool.
I had a moment, but it's like sounded so believable because I was just like, sure, yeah, I don't know.
I thought it was a real thing.
Is that the
Why not?
yeah, exactly. Like, okay, yeah, we went from hot tubs to watching TV shows to now it's just going to be someone reading a book. Yeah, I believe it.
Mhm.
Like, just yeah, which I guess I'm an idiot, but also
Use your Twitch subs to buy this Kindle. Let's go.
yeah. If we can sync the Kindles across everyone, so you have to read at the same pace as the reader. This is a whole
Okay.
Ooh.
Now you're thinking.
building is back in Fortnite.
Yeah.
No, I'm out.
Heard
I'm
about
back
that.
out.
Yeah. This rolled out on Saturday. It is now the default mode again, but they kept that zero build in as an option. So if you want to not build and have an overshield and all that stuff, that Fortnite is still there for you.
Kind of back in then.
Yeah, I still have it installed. We'll see. Activision-Blizzard has been a home for a lot of fucking wild shit and unhappy employees for a variety of fucking terrible reasons. This week, it's because they dropped the vaccine mandate and said, hey, we're going to have people come back to work, and also you don't have to be vaccinated or show proof of vaccination to come back to work. And a bunch of employees were like, fuck that.
Were there more employees upset about a mandate than are upset that you dropped it? I don't understand.
I don't know. So their statement here, or part of the email that went out to all the employees from Chief Administrative Officer Brian Bulatow, says, effective immediately, we are lifting our vaccine mandate for all U.S. employees. This means that employees no longer need to be fully vaccinated against COVID-19 in order to return to the office. Over the past several weeks, we've seen businesses and other indoor venues across the U.S. lift vaccine requirements, and we feel it is important to align our site protocols with local guidance.
Fuck off.
Everyone else is doing it.
Yeah, that's a bad. That's a bad reason.
If your friend jumped off a bridge, would you do it too?
Maybe. Maybe.
It's more fun than this.
So this led to a walkout of somewhere over 100 people yesterday. From what I read, about 115 people, somewhere around there. And ahead of that walkout, Bulatow kind of sent out a follow-up and said that individual studios under Activision-Blizzard will be allowed to choose their own vaccine requirements. Which seems like a weird, like, no, we're not wrong, but also I guess. And some of the employees on Twitter have said that it sounds like Blizzard and a handful of QA offices have reinstated that the vaccine requirement. So
Fun.
ongoing struggles around that stuff. Obviously, the return to office stuff around a lot of companies is going to be very fucking weird. I don't know. That's yeah. It just seems like a weird thing to drop at this point. Because also they were like, but if you did get vaccinated, please, hey, just like us, they use Workday. So it was a lot of, hey, if you did vaccinate, please upload your status to Workday. Please keep doing that if you get booster shots. We just want to know in case we change. It's like, all right, well, it's just bizarre. Hypnospace Outlaw is back. Yeah. 2 new games in the Hypnospace universe were announced this morning. Along with some merch stuff. Dream Settler is the first game, set somewhere between 2003 and 2005. You will play as a detective, and it looked to have a similar kind of desktop-y kind of interface as Hypnospace Outlaw. But you know, it had a music playlist and you could sort the playlist. Like, it was a lot of like close-up shots of like their fake desktop interface and dragging stuff around and going like, okay, yeah, no, this is way more advanced than Hypnospace Outlaw. This is great.
Future is now.
The future is now. And so that's very exciting. A game that I think it's cool that they're going to make this second game, but there's also Slayers X, Terminal Aftermath, Vengeance of the Slayer.
Yeah.
Which is a retro first-person shooter that kind of gives off Duke Nukem-y kind of build engine kind of vibes.
It's
based
a
on
boomer shooter.
Yeah, it's based on Zane's comics from the first game. Both of these games have pages on Steam now, and the description for Slayer's X is, so got what it takes to be an X Slayer? 7 weapons, blood and gore, twisted music by Seepage and Psycho Syndicate, and maps where you can blow everything up. It's awesome. Started making it in 1998 in high school with my friend, and now I'm 37, so I have life experience now. So Zane is finally making his game.
Zane! I'm so excited for this fictional character. I love him.
Yeah.
I already followed him on Twitter. He's been tweeting little things about his game development in character. It's adorable. Go follow him on Twitter. And follow Jay Tholen, the actual real creator of these games, and also Dropsy. He's a sweetheart. He's really a nice guy.
Yeah. That's awesome. Hypnospace Outlaw was just a great thing, and it is a great thing that I remember when it came out going like, this is a great thing, and never really thinking that it would take off the way it did. But it ended up on Switch and like got ported to all these platforms, got a physical edition, and all like it was so cool to see people getting into Hypnospace Outlaw, because it is such a specific weird thing. And I'm excited that there's going to be more stuff in that vein. That's cool as hell.
It's like, it's got this like sincerity that's hard to come by when it comes to these like anything that's kind of aping a certain era of stuff. Like it rides the line of being like too nostalgic and also like cynical about, like, it's not any of those things. It's just like a straight shot sincere thing, a love letter to the early internet. And now we're getting a second one that's a love letter to the early aughts internet, which also definitely had a different feel to it. So I'm really excited to see what happens. 2003
alternate history 2003 to 2005 is a really interesting space to set that game. Like
we're gonna have like there's gonna be like a Napster, isn't there?
Yeah. There's the video kind of implies like, oh, here's all these songs on my playlist that I acquired legally. So I'm sure that there'll be definitely some LimeWire nods in there somewhere. I don't know.
So excited.
Kazaa. I don't know. Kazaa.
Also, there's going to be a vinyl OST of Hypnospace coming out, and it looks cool.
Yeah.
Got Chowder Man and everybody on it. It's awesome.
Yeah. All the hits. All the hits. Let's see. This has been kicking around for a little bit, but I finally the details got pieced together. Axios has the story about some layoffs over at PlayStation. The company is shutting down its merchandiser team in the U.S., and that's stuff like it seems like a lot of the folks that maybe were focused on making sure that actual physical retail got the attention it needed.
Okay.
In terms of, I don't know if that means like going out to stores and saying, hey, you know, like if it's like on-site reps going like, hey, you need another you need another big cardboard sign that's a picture of the lady from Last of Us in here, or whatever. Like those sorts of things, and just like a lot of the stuff around the retail and retail marketing end of things, looks like they have been cut. At a time when PlayStation seems to be doing quite well. And this has been attributed, I guess there's no official statement out of Sony about this stuff, but according to Axios, who I guess has had a look at some of the internal stuff about it. So the cuts made at a time when the PlayStation business is thriving for Sony were attributed by leadership to a global transformation of the company's sales and business operations. So that company's been globalizing in a few different ways over the years. I feel like as Jim Ryan took the reins, and it feels like the U.S. office has maybe been knocked down on the totem pole a little bit as they kind of globalized, and even Japan doesn't seem like it's running. You used to always feel like Japan ran the PlayStation business because it's Sony, but it hasn't felt like that way in a while. And so I don't know. This seems like them modernizing. Obviously, digital sales are a thing, and probably I believe it's according to Axios that accounts for well over half of Sony's game sales is direct sales digitally to players. So you know the number of physical locations and stores that need to be supported and stuff like that in the way that they used to be probably isn't the same either. According to Axios, one worker who was affected by the layoffs said that they were disappointed that the company had not told the department about the cuts sooner and felt that Sony could have done more to find people alternate roles. Which, yeah, that's, Sony's not exactly hurting. It would seem like that they would have some spots open elsewhere for at least some of those people. But yeah, hope that those people bounce back. And I don't know that you can necessarily look at this and make some kind of sweeping statement about the health of Sony or anything like that. This does seem like them just kind of, as they continue to refocus their business and change where the power lies globally and some of that other stuff. Something that just kind of happens along those lines. And our last story, Windows Central is reporting that Microsoft is looking at doing a Game Pass family plan.
Sure.
So, yeah, the idea here would be you would pay for a higher tier of service and would be able to have up to 5 players in the same country on the same Game Pass. Yeah, right. Yeah. And that would be far cheaper, according to Windows Central, than paying for 5 separate Game Pass accounts.
I would hope so.
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, that would be the point, right? And that this would potentially use the family account system that is already in use for Office 365.
Ugh.
Oh, wonderful.
Yeah.
Cool.
Let's find another use for that.
Let's converse on Teams.
Yeah, you'll be forced to. Yes, you have to talk about games on Teams in order to use this plan. No. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, Nintendo has had its family plan for a little bit. Sony doesn't have any kind of equivalent family plan at the moment, I don't believe. And the way that you would, I mean, you could still kind of share some of your games with other players on an Xbox, but it was kind of like the same physical Xbox. Because you had to set your home Xbox, and then anything on your home Xbox could be played by other players. I don't know if Game Pass games apply to that now that I think about it. They probably didn't. But your owned games could be played by other accounts. And so this just seems like it's extending those things across an entire country. I mean, Windows Central saying that it's something that applies to the same country does seem to imply that it's not necessarily going to be limited to the same household and all those sorts of things. When we think about family plans, they often like to think about them that way. But if this is just going to be like this, then it seems like everyone with 4 friends would be in some kind of form of a family plan at this point, just to save some money. But we don't know.
Wonder what like the catch is. Like that seems too easy to take advantage of.
It seems like if I had to guess, I would say the catch would be that this only ends up applying to Game Pass Ultimate, which ends up being the PC and Xbox versions, ends up being the highest price tier, right? So if it's cheaper than that, then maybe it's still as expensive as your one tier, your Xbox or PC version of the plan, or something like that. So without knowing the pricing, it's hard to say. But I wonder if that's the route they go. And Windows Central doesn't seem to have those details as to kind of which version, which tiers of Game Pass this would actually apply to. So we'll have to kind of wait and see on that. But they are reporting that as an exclusive and something that they can very much definitely confirm. So we'll kind of see how that all nets out. And that's going to do it for news.
Ooh, a lot of stuff.
All right, news.
Yeah. A lot of stuff.
Cooking.
Yeah. Why don't we take another break here? And we'll come back and take a look at some emails.
Okay.
Sure. Upgrade your daily routine with Bespoke Post and their new seasonal lineup of must-have Box of Awesome collections. Bespoke Post partners with small businesses and emerging brands to bring you the most unique goods every month. Now, what kind of goods are we talking about? They box these things up and pack them into different configurations. So you choose a box, you get a box, all this other stuff. There's a lot of outdoorsy stuff in there, but not necessarily. You could get the cask box. And each barrel is handcrafted from American white oak and it's been charred to create a smoky cocktail. Or hey, you want a knife? Bespoke Post will send you a knife. They sent me a knife. I didn't even ask for a knife and a knife showed up. Slash, for example. The knife in the Slash box is made by Bare Bones, based in Salt Lake City. all sorts of knives, diving knives, or hot sauce. Do you want knives? Do you want hot sauce? Do you want a multi-tool? Do you want a traditional blacksmithing stuff? Bespoke Post has a wide variety of goods, cozy threads, like cocktails for any season, camping gear essentials. All of this stuff is here. And to get started, take the quiz over at boxofawesome.com. That's the URL. Your answers will help them pick the right box for you. They release new boxes every month across a ton of different categories. You can sign up for free and you can skip a month or cancel anytime. It's a subscription. Each box only costs $45 but has over $70 worth of gear inside. And with each box, you're supporting small business. 90% of everything that comes in your box is from a small up-and-coming brand. So get 20% off your first monthly box right now when you sign up at boxofawesome.com and enter the code BOMB at checkout. That's boxofawesome.com. Code BOMB for 20% off your first box. All right, we're back, and it's time for some emails. How about that?
Do it.
Bombcast at giantbomb.com is where you send your emails, and we will take a look at them, and I will file them away up here in my mind box.
Not guaranteed we'll read them, though.
No, exactly. They all become a part of me in some sick way, but only a small handful will be read. I'm going to say Evan is not a name on this. But, Evan from Ireland writes in to say, not much to say, except that I just found out that Gex in the UK had a different voice actor named Leslie Phil. And now I need to see Jeff play that version. I did not know that. I did not know that there was an alternate Gex.
In the back of my head, I knew that. Yeah. But I'm wondering, does that mean that the jokes are different and more UK-centric?
I would assume so. I would like that he's not just reading the exact same script. Right, you maybe make some changes.
Yeah,
exactly. Yep, there you go.
A different accent.
Yeah, now it's British. Done. Problem solved. Jamaal
Gex
from Sydney
says Fanny.
Yes, Gex is all about that Fanny.
And lorries and who knows what else. Sorry,
Gex takes the lift up to his flat and it's all about Sainsbury's.
Has some Nando's.
Yeah. Definitely. Gex is the original Bombay bad boy. Jamaal from Sydney writes in and says, I've had to return 2 white PlayStation 5 controllers for warranty. Both times the R2 trigger went limp. First time was my console supplied controller I got at launch that went after 6 months, probably from playing too much Astro. I always felt like the controller was going to break from the feedback. The second time was 6 months after that. Both a straight swap at the retailer. You could actually see the trigger sit lower than the L2 trigger. Currently have 3 controllers. One has scratches on the trackpad, which in games like Chicory causes the brush to wander, but that one's on me.
That's your controllers.
Yeah, I don't know.
I've also had problems with the white PlayStation 5 controllers. When one of them first came out of the box, the X button wasn't clicky. It didn't have the feel was wrong, and it didn't actually you could still use it. It just felt like you weren't pressing it, and it just throws us off so much that we just don't use it. We've tried to unstick the button to no real avail. We're still trying to figure out do we just replace the it's just a lemon. And the other one worked perfectly fine until recently. The left joystick started drifting.
Yeah.
And it's just but I thought these were good. Meanwhile, our Switch have both not had any Joy-Con drift at all.
That's impossible.
I mean,
I have not had any Joy-Con drift, but I also probably don't use my Switch enough to notice. So
there's that. The controller is good. It just seems like maybe it is not rugged or long lasting.
And I wonder if these, because there was some build changes in this second run of controllers and the new colors, and I wonder if that will rectify this or if it's just going to stave it off for another 6 months until
we
people.
bought 2 new of those colors too, so we'll see if those bust up in a couple months.
Yeah, I did notice last week that over on Woot, they were not blowing out, but they were selling all of the old color PS5 controllers at a slight discount. So I wonder if there is an effort on Sony's part to get that shit out in favor of the the better ones. I don't know. Yeah, we'll see. I mean, I'm using that purple one now, and it works great. But who knows? Maybe in 5 more months it'll fall apart just like my launch one did. But I don't know for sure. Let's see. Ben in Boston writes in and says, with the success of Elden Ring and many other games that leave more for the player to work out on their own, there's been a lot of talk lately about how much guidance games should give to players. And it feels like we may be moving into a period in which developers are more confident about not laying out every aspect of the game quite so explicitly. In your mind, what was the height of hand-holdyness in games? Is there a specific era or a specific game that sticks out as like leading you around by the nose?
Pokemon.
I
Always.
was gonna say Skyward Sword. The tutorial. Some say we are still playing the tutorial from Skyward Sword.
Horizon Forbidden West.
I just
a
feel
lot
like
I had better do this. This summarizing the thing that was just told to you, reminding you 5 minutes later. Just like, okay.
I just feel like there hasn't maybe been as much of an era of one or the other, right?
Yeah.
Like, I just think we get hung up in the 1-2 punch of things in a way that doesn't necessarily solidify us being in a moment, right? It's just, like, I guess it's the same thing with like all the time loop games last year, right? Like, there's obviously not this concerted effort to like pump them all out at the same time. It's just sort of where we got to.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that comes from digital sales of games and no manuals and all this other stuff. I think at some point, whether it was feedback that, hey, no one reads the manuals to begin with, or hey, games don't even come with manuals anymore. Half of the physical games just come with a thing that says like, here's how to put the disc in your console. Look out for flashing lights. Have a great time. And they rely on the game itself to tell you how to play the game. And as a result, for different types of games, that's going to result in different types of tutorials and figuring out what to do and when and all that stuff. I think that's a better thing. As much as I do like a really nice manual, I do think that the game just kind of illustrating how it is played to you out of the gate is probably a better format for more of the audience. But it almost seems like there should be some kind of like, hey, we've looked at your profile and you've played a lot of video games, and so we're at least going to give you the option to play a different version of this intro that is not quite so slow.
Yeah, I do like games that give you the option. Like, do you want to learn a tutorial, or do you know what you're doing? And you could just skip it if you know what you're doing.
But at that point, you don't know if you know, right? I mean,
but the earliest example I can think of is like Banjo-Kazooie or something like that, where it's just like, do you want to learn all these moves, or do you already know them because this is your second playthrough or something like that? And you can just skip all of it and just continue on into Grunty's lair. So I've always liked that kind of option. And
I feel like there needs to be something for the first playthrough, though, because at that point, if they're asking me the question, I'm always going to say, give me the tutorial, because I don't know if I don't know it.
Sure.
Yeah. But like I would rather at least there be an option.
Yeah.
And I also feel like for games that are simpler, like for example, like Portal or something, like that needs no manual, because the whole game is teaching you along the way how to do stuff with its fairly simple mechanic. Like, all things considered, you're not doing a ton of different things physically with different buttons, but you're learning to do different things with this one thing that you have the ability to do using portals. So when a game has like a simple gameplay style, but you can do lots of different things with that one thing, the tutorial can just be the game itself, teaching you along the way. But for something like Elden Ring, you do need like a guide open or a friend to tell you, like, by the way, this is how the timing on the parry or something like that, or a tutorial area that you can go to. So I don't know. I feel like there's different gradients to like the type of game that needs or benefits more from a in-game tutorial versus the type of game where it's just like, I wish I did have like something to read, a manual or something to consult. So I don't know.
Yeah, it's going to be different for different games. I think, like if Elden Ring is the first one of those types of games that you've played, then you might even be in a situation where you're like, wait, I keep hitting X and square, and how do I attack? Like the idea of just the light and heavy attacks being on R1, R2 is still something that is largely unique to those games. And so just a certain simple, because even Portal, when you first get into Portal, it probably pops up. I'm almost certain it does this, but I can't say because it's been so long. But it almost certainly pops up a little picture that says like, here's a picture of the right mouse button. Use it to shoot a portal here. Like it does do some sort of like here, click middle mouse to eliminate the portals or whatever. Mm-hmm. Like I think it does at least that. So like, you know, the control diagram, the here's hit X to jump, like that sort of stuff. You can do that quickly in a lot of games too, because obviously, you know, Portal doesn't bog you down and go like, hey, did you get that, or do you want me to tell you again? Instead, it's just like, here, you're not going to get out of this room until you learn this lesson, and we'll keep mocking you until you figure it out. You know, I think it works well for that specific game. Yeah. Brady in Texas writes in and says, I'm not a very technical guy, so maybe y'all can shed some light on my question. Why don't all last gen games have the option to unlock the frame rate? There are so many games that I've tried to go back to and play on my PS5, but I've become such a snob about a minimum of 60 frames per second that I can't even play an hour of any game that's 30 frames per second.
Oh, you poor thing.
You and me, Brady. Secondary question.
It's like when you give
PC
a cat
games give you that
food.
option? Right, yeah. Secondary question, don't PC games give you that option? No, not always. And I think, so the answer is that, and this is something that is very classic for the Dark Souls games, when people started to, when those mods started to come out of like, here's how to fix the PC version and do all this, and we can uncap the frame rate. You would have games, and those games in particular, where the physics simulation was tied to the frame rate. So when you uncap the frame rate, the physics get broken. And so different developers build their games differently. Different engines handle things differently. So changing that variable, if the game is not built for it initially, and just letting you flip a switch to uncap the frame rate, sure, in a lot of games it would work just fine. In a lot of games it would completely break everything. And that's why you can't just do it at a system-wide level, or anything like that, because obviously different games are going to use that tech differently. And not every PC game, that was the PC version of Dark Souls, the where that was specifically broken if you uncapped the frame rate. But by and large, it's something that people do expect out of PC games, is the ability to run it at a higher frame rate. And I think by and large, I'd
say most do, right?
Yeah. It's just a handful of, and when they don't do that, I think people look at it and go like, this is a bad port that we need to fix with some mods. And then the mods find out exactly why they didn't include that option.
Yeah. I think a lot of lay people, and I'm not like a programmer, but like, I think a lot of non-programmer knowledged people, that's not a great way to phrase that, they don't know how, like, if you change one little Jenga piece, everything crumbles in a weird way, and there's like a cascade effect throughout the entire code sometimes. It depends on what the code is, though. Mm-hmm. So, like, some of these things, like you said, can be changed and toggled in a far easier way. And other things, it's like you change one thing and everything's a Rube Goldberg machine of other things fucking up if you change the single thing. So it's a case-by-case sort of basis thing. Yeah,
and that's why it'll be... I'll be really curious to see the PlayStation 5 variable refresh rate stuff when that comes out, because that's a situation where they are going to allow you to apply it globally to games that don't even support it. And it's a toggle because they know, like, hey, this might just break. So for some games, this ain't going to work. And they're going in knowing that. And we'll see. I'll be curious. I want to see which games break and how they break, because that'll be weird. That'll be weird. Here's an anonymous email about crime.
Oh, good.
Okay.
As a high school graduate, I was down to party, but not old enough to buy tobacco or alcohol. Instead of finding someone old enough to buy, I took matters into my own hands and broke into my local gas station.
Oh.
That is a little bit more than matters into your own hands.
That's a capital C crime.
That's like, getting shit done.
Taking things into your own hands is like fixing the flat tire yourself.
That's disrupting it is not market norms, and I think that's this guy's got a bright future in crypto. I made away with some Busch Light beer and some skull chewing tobacco.
Oh my god,
So
that is
did they
the
even know?
saddest.
Did they even know they got robbed, or was it like an inventory error?
Yeah, like
Oh,
I
what a
don't know.
That's like the saddest, thing you could
Haul
steal
you can
ever.
have.
Anyway,
Yeah. After getting back home, it was time to indulge. After about 1 hour, the sickness got me. I rushed to the bathroom, missed the light switch, and slipped on the towel as I started to throw up. My momentum caused me to fall back, the vomit now hitting the wall beyond the toilet. As I continued to fall back, my head cracked the corner of the countertop, giving me a scar I still wear to this day. While I laid on the floor trying to process what had taken place, I knew I should tell no one what happened that night. Y'all are the first to hear this sad and pathetic tale. I place myself at the mercy of the court.
I think God struck you down.
This person is
gonna
now
say-
a priest.
Is this a time served situation? Is this person suffered enough, or are we putting?
I
have
would
a
almost say
question.
yeah, go ahead.
I have a question. How do you breaking into a gas station? I'm under the impression that most gas stations are open like 24/7. So like, when
No
was
way.
it not
No.
a 24/7 gas station? Okay,
Not all
No
of them.
way.
Sometimes they have
Not
like the
all of
little
them?
kiosk ones, right?
I guess I'm just thinking of like when people like actively rob,
Right.
stick somebody up. They're at the 24-hour places. Okay.
Yeah, this seems more like a breaking into a closed down station, not just
Okay.
not a simple shoplifting situation, not a full on armed robbery.
So Bacalar, continue.
I was gonna say, like, does the punishment fit the crime? And I kind of feel like he got over punished for his crime.
You get a scar that you still have to this day.
Yeah, like that is.
I'd say go
fucked
back
up.
to that gas station and treat yourself to a free case of Busch.
Yeah, you're
you,
owed.
You earned it.
Yeah, just they'll know who you are. Just
yeah.
say, walk
Like,
right in there.
I'm that guy. Did that
My
thing.
God.
Yeah. Mike from Los Gatos writes in with an important question. How does Kirby groom himself? Does he use a razor blade to shave? A squeegee? Does he groom himself by sucking himself inside out? The public wants to know.
No. That guy, guys, literally no grooming whatsoever.
All
Does
skin,
Kirby
maybe.
just stink? Is
No.
Kirby just foul?
Does the silly putty stink? No, it's just fucking there. Like,
I don't think Kirby like sweats or
Nothing.
gets dirty or anything like that. I think he's like Teflon. Like everything just kind of like rolls off the
Exactly.
surface of his skin or peach fuzz or whatever texture he's supposed to be.
Kirby is forever like a fresh tennis ball.
Mm.
Ooh.
wow. See, okay. Well, I'll buy into that.
There we go.
Look, here's the thing everyone's thinking, but they're scared to say it, and I'm gonna go ahead and say it. In a lot of ways, Kirby's kind of fucking gross.
Oh no, always.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
cool. I feel like we're all beating around this bush and avoiding saying the quiet part out loud. But let me tell you, that dude, fucking gnarly.
He's a nightmare.
Yeah.
He has to be cute to kind of like offset the fact that the eldritch horror of
Mhm.
Kirby that comes with what he does and how he is.
Yeah.
I want to play a game from the perspective of someone who was eaten by Kirby.
I mean,
What is that like?
it's probably not super gross because, like I said, I'm not even sure Kirby's got like one organ or anything. I think it's just, he's just sort of
A void.
alive in a way that we can't explain.
Yeah.
But it's, that would, I just feel like if you, so it wouldn't be like someone who was slimed by a ghost or something like that. It would just be someone who's just like, I had a deeply unpleasant rubbery experience. Like that's what it would be described
the
as.
question is like, how many people even survive getting sucked up by Kirby? Because he's the one who chooses whether or not he consumes them or spits them out. So the question is, where do these creatures go when they are consumed? Does he
turns
them?
them
Because he doesn't seem to get
No, he-
nutrients from
Yeah.
sucking in character. He eats things, but also sucking in things
They-
seems to be a different biological function, perhaps.
Yeah.
And where do they go? An alternate
They-
dimension? Are they safe? Are they dead?
No, he
I
turns
think
them
the
into
dimensional,
stardust.
but
dead.
I do think the dimensional, reasoning makes a little bit of sense just because they kind of don't exist for a second. They just don't exist. They're just in there, we think, but they're not. Like when he does mouthful shit, you can obviously make out the outline of the vending machine. You can make out but like when it's just an enemy, they cease to be until he manifests them out his face again.
Is he?
Right?
Is Kirby the prototype? Are Pokeballs based on Kirby's innate ability?
See, that's a good question.
The way they frame Pokeball technology, no, because apparently
Pokeball is a synthetic Kirby.
I mean,
No? All right.
no.
I mean, that is not bad logic.
Well, that depends on how you're thinking of Pokeballs versus how you're thinking of what's going on in Kirby inside of Kirby when he consumes something. Is the thing inside of him that he's sucking up disappearing, or is it getting smaller,
Right.
or going to an
Shit.
alternate dimension? Because Pokeballs shrinking things
Yeah.
to fit
Yeah.
inside the Pokeball.
Yeah.
That's like that's canon that's what's happening. They're not getting ported to a different dimension or anything like that. Canonically, things get small, go in Pokeball. So I guess it depends on like the physics of what's happening within Kirby's body.
Kirby's making those decisions for everyone.
Yeah.
On thousands of calculations per second.
When we talk about
Inside
Kirby's
Kirby's
being
empty head.
God, he is literally God for the dimension, for not dimension, but there's a civilization living inside of Kirby.
He's the god of that.
And I want
Right.
to play that video game.
Kirby's Inside Story.
I think
Yeah.
Kirby's just death.
Kirby,
Okay.
no one tells Kirby either. Like, it's not his fault. Like, no one sat him down and just been like, this is how
Stop.
you're perceived.
I don't think he's encountered any intelligent life capable of giving him a talking to, really. Everyone's just head empty, friendship.
Does,
It
does-
really
know.
makes you think. Like, it really
Yeah.
makes you think how he's just.
I mean,
Everyone's-
in the anime, there's a lot of characters that are capable of talking to him, but I think, canonically in the games, I don't know anybody having like a big
A sit down.
Right.
sit down with him or capable of that. I mean, bad guys will have monologues and speeches and stuff like that occasionally, but
But no one's like, Kirby, there's
How
a
do you
lot
work?
of talk in the news about gut flora and fauna, right? But like those is people. No? All right.
No.
I don't
No.
know.
It's troubling. It's troubling.
Yeah. Okay.
Mhm.
I'll play
That's
the
not
game.
to think of it.
We'll get to the bottom of this. Let's see. Here's another. This appears to be a crime email, so I'll leave the name off. In the early 2000s, I was a website programmer for a self-proclaimed punk rock reggae rap band.
Love it.
I'm trying to piece together who would that be, but I guess in the early 2000s, it's
Or a
Every
dime a
band.
dozen, I feel like.
yeah. Like there's a part of me that's just like, was this Sublime? Was this the Funk Junkies? What are we talking about here? Did the Funk Junkies make it into the early 2000s? Let's hope not.
so is that the crime or?
Yeah, no. I would also
And then
I
the
would
email ends.
also upload their songs to Napster as pop songs. I don't know if that's the crime. Anyway, this
Yeah.
job let me do some cool stuff, like be at a music video where Cypress Hill was there. Someone from the label I worked for told them I know the internet, and Be Real pulled a thing out of his pocket and asked if I could put it in English. It was a WonderSwan.
Huh.
I don't speak or read Japanese, so I couldn't, and he didn't ask for it back. I hope this means I didn't admit to stealing Be Real's WonderSwan. I can't believe you fucking stole Be Real's WonderSwan.
Wow.
Congratulations. Hold on to that for your life.
You are the only person probably that has ever done that specific crime.
Yeah, to the point where, like, if you told the right person, if the right person heard this email, they would know exactly who you were.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No one
Fucked
else
up.
has ever done that before.
You know what
Yeah.
else is a crime?
Or maybe the crazy thing is like Be Real had like 30 WonderSwans and has done
Yeah,
this time
yeah.
and time again. I mean, anything's possible.
You're in an exclusive crime club, at least.
Yeah.
I was listening to the radio, and the crime here is an advertisement. Them saying the Bay Area's biggest hip hop festival, and then immediately go on to say that it is in Sacramento.
Oh, that is.
For-
that,
For folks
a
not aware
crime.
of Bay Area geography, the furthest we will consider the Bay Area is Vallejo to San Jose. Sacramento's 2 hours away.
Yeah, something like that. It's inland and it's
was there
hot.
fine print on that ad somehow?
Nope. They just played it and they repeated
Speaking
that
real
phrase
fast at the end? No?
multiple times. The Bay Area's biggest hip hop festival.
Wow.
No one's gonna
Okay.
fucking go all the way out to Sacramento for that fucking thing. No one. Fucks. Oh man.
Be Real is gonna
Sacramento.
be there. That's why it made me think of it.
Mm.
Go return
Mm.
his
That
WonderSwan. That's
Yeah,
what
That
it'll
was
be.
Bring him a-
always.
Bring him a WonderSwan.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
He'll remember you and be like, "Hey,
You.
did you figure this out or what?"
Um,
It took
bring
me
him a
all these
Swan
years.
crystal, something nice, you know. How how does Be Real end up with a WonderSwan? Probably the same way I did. Probably was in Japan and saw one and went like, yeah, I should get one of these.
Yeah.
That's how I ended up with like 3 of them because I was buying them when they were already dead. So it was like, here, get an 800 yen brand new in-box WonderSwan. Like, okay, I guess I should get some of these. Let's see. Last couple of emails here. Will the eventual Switch 2 be backwards compatible? Yes or no? What do you think?
Yeah.
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 I think backwards compatibility is too important nowadays. I think
Yeah.
everyone's going to like consider it with their future consoles.
I think that Nintendo will stick with that form factor for a while, and before they go and do something weird like, I don't know, here's a controller, it's the shape of a pyramid, strap it to your head, and I don't know, this Mario game's awesome, but everything else is terrible.
You got to wear 2 watches to play this game.
That's right. Yes. Put 2 and they go on your legs for safety. Yeah. All that sort of stuff. Last question. Hans from Sweden. Hans. Sorry, I'm just fucking up your name all over the place, I'm sure. Seems like everyone talks about Blur nowadays as if it was a masterpiece that didn't get the recognition it deserved. Was it a decent game that just sold terribly, or is it really a forgotten gem? I'm going to say yes, some people do.
Who?
Sweden? Everyone in Sweden?
No,
maybe?
it's not the band Blur.
I know.
That's the only one I know.
The car fighting racing thing.
Yes, Blur was a Mario Kart-esque racing game. The studio, it kind of got its legs cut out from under it, and the studio was shut down not long after. So it had kind of a sad end for a game that was pretty good.
I thought it was good, but like, I don't think it falls into this category of like this unappreciated gem. I
think as time has gone on, I think it has attained that status with some people because that studio got shut down, and that was a big deal, and it was
they romanticized.
Yeah, it was like, and it was part of the Call of Duty-fication of Activision, where as they got out of every other game, Blur was just like one of those games that they just it was like Blur and Singularity and some other stuff that was just like the last new stuff that Activision did before they decided to just make shooters. And yeah, so I don't think Blur is cool. Blur was like, it's almost like a Wipeout prequel. It felt like this kind of like, okay, these cars still have wheels on them. They aren't hovercrafts like they are in Wipeout, but like you can see how we get from here to there or something. Yeah. It had that kind of vibe to it.
Because it had lasers and shit, right?
Yeah, yeah. It wasn't like you're throwing bananas or or whatever.
Right.
It was a little edgier than that, bro. Yes, Blur was good.
It looks kind of cool.
Yeah.
Like I'm looking at footage right now because this completely blew past me. I didn't know about this, but this looks more fun than most car games.
Yeah, it was good. And it seemed like it did maybe okay. I don't know how well it sold or anything like that, but people seemed into it at the time of release. And yeah, Split Second was like flashier. It was like that and Blur came out around the same time, but Split Second had more crazy destruction and that made it stand out, but ended up both those studios went away. Like both those games kind of got raw deals. So yeah, I don't know. It's a forgotten gem, but it's not like the greatest game. And I don't know that it's some big masterpiece or anything like that. It was just a cool thing that was just a part of the times changed, and there was no room for a game like Blur in Activision's world anymore. I think is probably the sad part about that. All right. That's going to do. Actually, one more quick one. Okay. Graham writes in to just say, could you please ask Dr. Hockey, how about them Florida Panthers? Don't worry. He'll get it.
Florida has
Is that why you asked me who they played?
No. It just, that came up and I was like, wait a minute. That's weird. Did you run into this person at a hockey game?
No, I didn't. Devils they're not very good right now. They're going through a bad couple of years. And I've had a lot of I've been spoiled with this team, right? As a child, they won 3 Stanley Cups.
Right. Yeah. They had a pretty good run there at some point.
what happened on Saturday at this hockey game was fucked up in a way that I felt bad for my kid.
Oh.
Like my kid, he's going to be 7 and he went from, when you first get introduced to sports, he's like, the team you like wins every game. Right. And then the reality of like, you can lose a lot. Like, you could not get in the playoffs. You could not do it. You could never, people get hurt. People get traded. It's fucking terrible. Like, we had seats on the glass. Devils were winning 6-2 at the end of the second period. And they fucking blew the lead and lost in overtime.
Wow.
Now, that's the kind of shit that you can't let a little kid see. Like a little kid sees that and it's basically child abuse because you are fucking showing something like a 6-2 lead in hockey in the third period. That's a done deal.
Yeah, that's like go home now, pull the goalie.
That's a done deal. There's no team. I don't care if you're the worst team you don't give up that lead. You give up 2 goals, but you don't give up that lead. And that's what the Devils did. And it's funny because Devils will beat, like they'll shock people and they'll beat like a good team. And I was like, oh, that's what's happening right now. Panthers are like a top 3 team in the league. And seeing that shit unravel and just being like, oh my God, this poor kid. He kept looking at me like, oh, Dad, what's happening? And I'm like, oh, dude. I'm like, don't. It's okay. It was rough, dude. It was real rough. It was one of those losses where it was like, wow, this is fucked up. This is really fucked up that and you knew when it was like 6-4, I was like, I turned to Stacey. I'm like, they're gonna blow this. They're gonna blow this fucking lead. And sure enough,
you made it happen. You jinxed him.
Well, I don't know if that's what I did, but I certainly appreciate this emailer rubbing it in my face. There were a lot of Florida Panthers fans at the game, and it must have been really surprising for them to see what fans look like. So that was probably a real eye-opening experience for them. So I'm glad they got to see that.
Yeah.
Would you perhaps be interested in a sports entertainment version of hockey or a different organized sport?
Like
the
like
WWE, where there is a narrative throughout the season.
They do that. Yeah, I don't know if they do it in baseball. There's like baseball and obviously like it's like Globetrotter shit, right?
Sure.
I don't know if you could pull it off in hockey.
It'd be like the ice capades at that point, you
make it like wrestling, but hockey
so
is
choreographed.
Yeah.
Where like one
you
team
could do it in
is a heel
baseball.
team.
Yeah, I don't think I would like that.
You should, Jan. I don't know if this stuff exists online anywhere, but you should get into roller games.
Well, like I was gonna say, roller derby is that.
Yeah,
like
roller derby is that,
and that's fun. I think that shit's cool.
But like, so there was obviously roller derby is still out there, and there are people still doing it in various capacities.
Yeah,
but
it's
like
pretty big in places.
When that stuff was on television, and they literally were like, oh, when games go into overtime, we have an alligator pit that you have to jump over.
Oh,
and like there was one guy, it was like an older dude. And his whole move was like he would do like a guy would fall over and he would jump onto him back first, land on his back, and then wiggle. And then that was devastating to the person. Yeah. And yeah, they had the whole thing of like the teams, and there was heel teams and heel managers and all this crazy shit. Yeah, it's wrestling. They had like there was a plot where like the two pretty ladies on the good guy team had to be forcibly traded to the bad guy team, and like and just like all this shit. They only did it for like a season or two on television like that. I mean, roller derby's been around forever, but like roller games specifically,
I remember that.
Yeah, it was a fucking nightmare television show, but I watched the shit out of it. It was fucking great.
I think that stuff can be fun, but there's such a fine line. You know what I mean?
I feel like
when you
go ahead.
Yeah, go ahead, Jen.
I feel like in the world of like reality shows that have the oddest premises that are on streamer services now, I feel like you could totally set up something like this. Like The Floor is Lava, but expert edition, where someone is volcanologist or whatever, and like their family died in a volcano, so this is their way of redeeming
Getting
their family
vengeance.
name.
You know, the other thing you should check out if you are not familiar with it, that Jamaal points out in the chat, is WMAC Masters.
Oh,
This
What's
was like
that?
it was like a Saturday morning television show that was like a worked martial arts competition that was like basically it was like Mortal Kombat, but like not even a cartoon, like a live action show where the person who played Liu Kang in the first couple of Mortal Kombats was a character named Superstar. And this is where the ninjas penetrate the dome thing comes from, because they have to fight in all these different backgrounds and they have life meters and it's fucking nuts.
That's cool.
And then the final confrontation, they got in this big fucking dome. And then at some point you would hear ninjas penetrate the dome and a bunch of fucking ninjas would jump in there and they'd have to fight the ninjas while fighting each other. And then they had Bruce Lee's daughter on every episode. And she would come out and have some kind of platitude, some kind of like my father, Bruce Lee used to say. And it was like that. She would hit it with that cadence almost every time to remind you, yo, I'm fucking Bruce Lee's fucking daughter. Fuck you. And she was on every,
It's
an
a
amazing
cool
show.
idea. It's a cool idea.
Yeah. There was a video. There was a YouTube video that was like every episode of the show in one fucking video, so not even split out into episodes, which is a hassle, but it's out there. And yeah, that stuff I don't think got released in any kind of like legit fashion. So you have to just find fucking weird old rips of it. But
yeah,
This is wild.
they sold toys and stuff like that. You basically every one of the fighters had a different piece of the Dragon Star belt,
Yep.
and the whole point of the
All
season was you were
flooding
trying to
back.
assemble all the pieces of the Dragon Star, and yeah,
That's so cool.
Yeah, man.
hell of a fucking show.
I think
Yeah,
that's why I
on
like
them.
the original Iron Chef so much, but not like in its native Japanese, but like dubbed over and everything.
I thought until like 2 years ago that Chairman Kaga was a real guy and not a fictional character being played by an actor.
to me, damn it.
Yeah, exactly.
I just thought he's just, an eccentric millionaire who wanted a cooking show. That's totally plausible to me.
And the same thing carried over to Iron Chef America, where Mark
It
Dacascos
wasn't as good. It wasn't
Yeah.
as good.
pretended to be related to Chairman Kaga.
It's
His
like, wait a
nephew.
minute, you're just Mark Dacascos. This is crazy.
It's like you're either Jimmy or Bimmy from Double Dragon.
He's the hero from Only the Strong. God damn it. When Eddie Gordo was added to Tekken and they put Capoeira into Tekken, I knew what it was, but only because I had seen Only the Strong.
I love that man.
A classic film.
Him and
A
his
classic film.
smooth head.
Yeah. All right. Everyone go watch Only the Strong if you can find it out there. And we'll be back next week with another edition of the Giant Bombcast. Thanks, everybody. See you soon.
Thank you.